Welcome to the 76th episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today we have our special 2018 Year in Review episode.
Woo!
Yay! What we will be doing is going over our final impressions of the year and revisiting our thoughts and scores on all of the anime we reviewed in 2018.
Awesome.
I am Leo, and with me are my two co-hosts, Kat and Bcom.
Hey,
Hi.
what's up, fuckers?
Hello.
Who also survived this year of anime with me.
Barely. By the skin of our fucking teeth. All right.
We together watched some truly awful anime, some fantastic anime, and of course agreed and disagreed about a whole lot. So let's revisit this past year and probably get back into some heated arguments. We have also played with some statistics, so we can both pat ourselves on the back, but also shake our heads at some of our more questionable decisions.
Nice.
I can't wait for the stats section.
Yeah, you went the ham on that, man.
Oh, I did. It was so much fun.
I made a nice little document, and then when I opened it today, it was 4 times larger. Of course, there will be spoilers, so be wary of that. But
You all
guys,
should know the fucking drill by now. Like, I don't understand how you guys don't think there's going to be spoilers. It's called Year in Fucking Review. So,
Pretty much.
Yep.
Cover your ears if you can't handle it.
Yeah, there's not going to be like much warning for a lot of these shows.
Yeah.
If we're just going to jump into whatever we felt about them, so it's going to include spoilers. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anything else, guys?
Yeah, I just want to say before we head into this, we've like grown a lot as a podcast this year. We added Kat in the very beginning of the year, and like that has like changed the podcast for the better for sure. And we've gone through multiple format changes. There used to be soft and hard locks and things, and that's going to be reflected in the stats later. It's kind of funny.
That sounds kind of kinky, really, when you say it like that.
Yeah,
There used to be
Soft
soft
locks.
and hard locks.
soft locks, baby.
And then Cat came around, and all we do is hard locks now.
Leo likes it better that way. He likes it
Oh
hard.
yeah, cold hard locks. But yeah, we've grown in listenership too, and like we really appreciate all the listeners who've joined since the beginning of this year. I think we've like doubled in size at least over the course of the year.
Yeah, and I like talking to everybody in our chat also. Really fun.
Yeah, on YouTube comments, on Discord, on reviews that you've left us. It's like all of that feedback has like kept us like happily humming along with this podcast we do. So we really appreciate all of that, and thank you all for listening.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Let's go ahead and jump into winter 2018. And our first show up is Kokoku.
Nice.
Imagine Kokoku being a winter show. Wow. That was a long time ago.
That just seems so long. Man, but it had like my favorite OP of the whole year, actually.
Yeah, I was
It
gonna
had
say.
that going for it.
It's probably
Like, nah.
tied for me
Yeah.
with that Love and Lies song, but this one is pretty damn good.
Yeah. Love and
Yeah.
Lies. Well, the Love and Lies song was from last year, though, Kat.
Oh, really? Was that not? Then,
Yeah.
yeah, this was definitely my favorite then.
Yeah, no, this Miyavi song. Like, Miyavi did this OP flashback, and he also did the OP for We Rent Tsukumogami,
Ooh.
which was not visually nearly as cool as the Kokoku one. Like,
Yeah, it wasn't-
the Koku, yeah.
Didn't the Kokoku have a very interesting art style? Like it was
Oh,
somewhat
yeah.
CGI, if I'm remembering correctly.
Well, it just had like all these splashes of color. It had like the villain was in like black and white, right? But like all of the main characters were in like pinks and blues, and like Jury was like on a spinning clock, like to represent like the time stoppage, and like there was all these hearts, like hands forming hearts around these like no outlet and like
Oh, yeah.
stop traffic symbols and
I
stuff.
remember that. All I remember, though, honestly, and all anyone ever remembers is like coming in, coming out.
Coming
Don't
Crazy now,
that
crazy
make
now.
you crazy
That-
now.
and
Don't
that
make you
shitty
crazy
ending.
now. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the cop out shitty ending was also
Oh,
one
yeah,
of the
the
things I
show
remember
sucked.
from.
Oh yeah.
Well-
Well, no, okay. I actually still like the show.
Yeah, Cat and I still
Okay.
liked it. Become you're the one who fucking hated it.
I did. It was so dumb.
Just
I just wanted them to do
symbolism in
more.
the church and
Oh.
all. It was still a good show. Okay.
Oh God,
Oh, my
taking care of
God.
that baby at the end was an interesting way for that show to go.
The symbolism, though, in the church with like the smear. Oh God.
Oh, was it what did like a bird or a bug like poop on the
Oh, I know, and it
on
just
the
trickled
statue?
down like jizz. Like, it's like,
God.
why? Why was that needed? I don't know.
Oh, and remember the ED? How it was just like literally like porn of the main
Oh, I know.
female
Oh,
characters
the
in the
two
show.
girls. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, good
They're like, we
times.
know we aren't giving you any fan service in the fucking show. So here's what we fap to when we're done making the show.
I think that was an interesting idea because it won't ruin the show, but then you have this interesting ED.
Well, because you know how in a recent podcast, Brains and on his show was talking about how even Disney has like porn files of all of the shows they've worked on. I feel
Yeah.
like that's like from Kokoku's porn file. He just
That
pulled
makes
some
sense.
out of the more PG ones.
Yeah.
Okay, Bcom, what's the next show?
Well, I hope they don't have a porn file for Mitsubishi
Oh, God.
Covers, because that'd
Oh.
be sad if that was the
Yeah.
Going to
case.
jail.
Man, this was such a fun show. Like it was not like the best visual like experience or anything. It was not the best animated, but man, these three little girls were so much fun to watch. Like they actually felt like little snot-nosed brat children rather than just like weird anime kids / not kids, you know? They were totally like relatable as like little annoying but also adorable kids, and I love them.
like what was it like? Was it 3 coins Sachan, even though she had 2 coins or something like that?
Oh yes.
Yeah, and then even in one of the mini like anime Oscars I did for some of the other podcasts, one of my favorite moments I listed this in like the 3rd or 4th spot was Kotoha every time she stepped on somebody. I love it. I love her like smugness, and then she gets like taken down when they're like, "Oh, you suck at video games," and like her whole world comes unraveled on her.
Oh yeah.
Like you said, it was so adorable just to watch them, and just you're sitting there and you're like, "Oh, you adorable little shits."
Yeah. What made the girls so adorable is just their like spunkiness, their like attitude of like,
Yeah.
we're amazing. We're gonna go out in the world and show everyone how fucking amazing we are. Like,
I remember feeling that way when like I was a really little kid and I would like just role play with my friends outside, like running around in the woods or something. Like we would just have fun and like imagine we were on big adventures and stuff like that. Like, and so to see them go doing this around like, you know, Tokyo and around Ueno was like just hilarious. Like it totally made so much sense. And I love how most of the adults in the series also like supported them and like bought into it all the time. Like the crazy guy in like the shop who like would keep making them things or making scavenger hunts for them.
Yep,
Whose face did we ever see his face? I don't remember.
his eyes we never
His eyes.
saw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
One of the other things I thought it did really well, which is why I gave it the 7 and not the 6 like you guys, was I thought it had one of the best like wrap up endings where like if they wanted to make more, they could. But what they did in that final episode was like they went around and you got to re-meet everybody and like and you got to see the dynamics between them all. And I thought that was fantastic for an ending.
That's true.
Like in my book, that got like a solid point easily.
I definitely feel this show is underwatched. I think more people should check it out. If
I
you
think the
haven't.
show as
Yeah.
a whole is epic. I think the ending was just but I mean, it's one of those shows that like doesn't need an amazing ending, kind of like Yuru Camp. Like it was awesome, even though the ending was just like so.
We'll talk about that when we get to it.
Yeah.
Oh, man, but Kat, can you just read what you wrote for the next show and introduce it, please?
Oh god. Why did you fucking give me this piece of shit show? You did it on purpose, didn't you? Somehow. So the next show that we covered, even though it's a piece of shit-stained used condom, is Karakai no Takagi-san, or whatever.
Hey, it's getting a 2nd season, too.
No, it
Hell
doesn't
yeah,
deserve
it is.
anything.
More skilled teasing is on the way.
Skilled teasing. That girl, she's gonna murder someone one day. Just mark my words. What did I say? Okay.
She's a sweetheart.
Oh my god, I'm so bored. Yeah,
Yeah,
I hated this
pretty
show
much.
so much.
This is the second part, like where you're like, I regret wasting my life on this show. And I'm just like, wow, you really hated this thing.
Okay, so now we're resorting to violence. Do you-
Yes. Just like the show.
Oh man.
Yeah, like we were disappointed that like it didn't really go anywhere in the end. Like it just they hinted at like, oh, maybe they'll be in a relationship someday, and then just like ended it.
Oh, now that I'm thinking about it,
Yeah.
I'm comparing it to High Score Girl.
Honestly,
Where
Oh, yeah.
it's pretty similar, actually,
Oh.
kind of.
actually, this show
Yeah.
sucked so much raging cock. I didn't like it at all. This man, didn't I say he was like being abused? He kind of is. Like this is like
Oh yeah, you went on and on about how like he was just like you felt so bad for this kid.
he
Like
really like should be helped. Like no one wants to live the rest of their life like this.
this is true.
Well, I told you about the manga where they all grown up and they're together and they have a kid now, and like
They all
apparently he
torture
does
him together.
He does want to live his life. Yeah, they do.
Well,
they do really.
But, like,
It's hilarious.
Does he really? Just because she like Stockholm syndrome into having a kid with her doesn't mean he wants that life.
She's got a great ass in that manga, though.
Oh,
So-
just because
The
she
one where
has a
she's
great
older.
ass, that means
The one where
that,
she's older, yes.
You know, a life of torment and misery in which his whole family just makes fun of him 24/7. That's fine
Well,
because you know
and
occasionally she bends over and he gets a nice view of her ass, so it's worth it in the end.
I don't know. Maybe that's what he likes.
I did love Rie Takahashi's voice acting on this show, though. Like, it was amazing. And as I talked about at the time, like, the skits that they did to promote the show outside the show are probably better than the show. Her and Yuki Kaji. Like, so look those up on YouTube. They're great. And I hope we get more of those for season 2. Like, I'm actually more excited about those than I am about a potential season 2.
I hope
So,
a
yeah.
hurricane comes and knocks out the studio that's doing season 2.
We don't even know who it is yet, so.
Well,
Just
whatever
wished
studio,
a hurricane on all of Japan.
whatever studio decided in their poor judgment skills to entertain that deserves a hurricane. So.
Okay,
All
how
right.
about something we can
Anyway.
all unanimously agree on was a great show, and that's A Place Further Than the Universe.
It was pretty
Yay.
good. Yeah.
Oh man, I still keep thinking back to the running scene where the girls are running from them.
Yeah.
I really need to rewatch that and bring it up on YouTube because it was fantastic.
It's so good.
Unfortunately, I was listening to another podcast reward show, and I won't name it so I don't spoil it for somebody, but A Place Further in the Universe did win it, but it was the laptop scene. I was like, man,
I mean,
I
I,
lo-
love that laptop scene, man. That fucking scene wrecked me. Like, it
that
totally
was
wrecked me.
what people were saying was they just got wrecked by it. And like,
Yeah.
I didn't really get wrecked by it, but I love that running scene so much. That was like when I really felt like I was enjoying the show, but I really fell in love with it at that point.
I think it's like the lead into that laptop scene is important too, and a lot of people forget about it. In that Gin Todo, who is like the captain of the expedition, like, you know, the one who left Shirase's mother behind on the previous expedition. Like, she gets there, she gets to that site where they're going to build like the research station in honor of her mother, and like she's like looking up and like she starts crying, and like Shirase tells the other girls like, yeah, she's probably thinking of like the last time she saw my mother here.
Oh God,
Yeah.
Cap becomes going to start crying on us again.
I know.
It kills me, man. Like when those emails start pouring in, it just kills me. But yeah, it's what a great ending. But yeah, like Leo said, I love the running scenes in the beginning. There's a great insert song that plays over that, and I just love like all of the character interactions between the main core 4 cast. Like, they're so good. Like, the only one I like didn't love as much as the others was Yuzuki, but like still, I thought she was pretty good, all said and done. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, as I've had time from this anime, the parts with her and her mom, the main character,
Mhm.
don't move me as much as they did before, but I still really like the parts where each character is explored. And those
Yeah.
stuck with me more. And I'm not sure if it's because the part with her mom is a little overdone. It's almost a little too overly dramatic. And so as you get further away from it, it doesn't feel as authentic. I'm not sure if that's the case.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was also interesting that as I was like thinking about good characters from this year for some other awards I'm a part of, it's funny that Hinata in this show, as well as Hinata in Three Gatsu no Lie in season 2, both went through a big bullying arc. Well, sort of like a bullying arc anyway. Like, Hinata in this show was bullied by, you know, her track team members who like basically were pissed at her because she was good at track and like took the place of a senior or took a senior spot. And like they basically spread rumors about her until she just quit school, literally. But like when compared with the bullying arc in Trigatsu that Hinata there goes through, kind of pales in comparison. Like that's a much better bullying arc in general, in my opinion. But still, I like Hinata a lot in this show and like the little journey she goes on. It's just they didn't have maybe as much time to flesh it out as they did in Trigatsu. But
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's probably it. But yeah, okay, so next, is it Leo? Is it your turn?
It's Bcoms.
Oh, okay.
Oh, my turn for a KyoAni show? Who knew? Violet Evergarden. Man, we had a lot of conversations about this show, didn't we?
Yeah, I will agree that the show was maybe the most beautiful show of the season.
Of that season, yeah, it was close between that and like After the Rain. But like when I really look back at this show, like there's just some like unbelievable animation. Like there's one cut in this show that I think it took an animator, like a single animator, like an entire month to work on. Like they just went like hog wild with the animation in this show. It is ridiculous. It's an embarrassment of riches. The story,
pond scene.
No, it wasn't even the pond scene. It was like some like transition
really
of like Violet typing like on like the typewriter. It was like with like a bunch of stuff like coming out of the typewriter. But yeah, like it's gorgeous. And the character designs are amazing and the character animation is amazing. The music is really, really good too. But yeah, that story though, like it has its moments, but like there are some choices that are made and some things that they had to adapt that didn't fully work in the end. But like, yeah, I was just bowled over by the whole presentation of it so much that I still loved it.
Yeah, there were some things I can't quite remember. That there were questions I had, like that one dude wearing the high heels and what his relationship was with Catalina. Like I could not figure out what was going on with that. Oh, and also it like when the show ends, it's like what was it, like an episode 15 in like a year or something. I was like, what? Is that even out yet?
They did come out with that. I didn't even watch it. Like the OVA episode. It's on Netflix now. I think. But there's something else coming even after that, which they haven't talked about.
Jesus
yet.
Christ! See, that really hurt me on that show because really, Kat's the one who's the probably the meanest about shows that won't have satisfactory endings. But for whatever reason, this one really bothered me. But man, like you said, this story was amazing. I know a couple other podcasters that have been in the army and military and such, and they've talked about the PTSD she's suffering from it and like how they're like kind of really related with it and understood it a lot better than I did. But that is really cool that they were able to nail that across.
The parts of the show that for me made it so good were how well they nailed some of the stories in this, like the one with the writer where she goes across the lake.
Yeah,
stuff
such
like
a good
that.
episode.
Yeah, like those are the kind of the episodes that made me think, oh yeah, this is a really work of art in a way. The ending for me was disappointing in that it could just be like, oh, okay, it's over, or it could ruin the entire fucking show.
Right.
But depending on how you take it. But it's open enough that I can ignore it. For me, I didn't resonate as much with the PTSD aspects of the show. And in fact, in the beginning, I got very irritated with this show. But just the way they handled some of the individual stories in the middle are what won me over. It was an odd case. Usually I fall in love with the show, and then as it becomes shittier, I become more and more infuriated and pissed off. This was a rare case of me starting out infuriated and pissed off at a show, and then by the end being like, okay, this is a good show. So
yeah. I've noticed a pattern that a lot of people's favorite episode of the show is the episode 10 where Violet goes to the little girl's house and writes letters from the mother. And I thought that was a really good episode. Yeah, like really great.
Yeah.
I know I was watching the Under the Scope YouTube channels like Anime Awards for 2018, and that was his favorite episode. But like I really love episode 9 though. Like, and I think it gets overlooked because it really is like the emotional culmination of like Violet's entire journey in the story up to that point, and like coming to terms with like her trauma from like the war and everything, and the burning that's inside her, and all of that flowing out. And I thought that episode is amazing. I think more people should give that one a second look. But like, yeah, that episode 10 and the lake one that Kat mentioned are both amazing too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How about the next one, Kat?
After the Rain. So I liked the show. I felt like it was very artistically done, which I give shows a lot of slack if they're artistically done. And this was one of those shows. And I felt like the ending showed them that they weren't romantically involved. Like they decided not to be. And they learned a lot from each other. And I think when you fall in love with someone, sometimes you just learn a lot from being in love with them. And this is a good example of that, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, no, it's definitely true.
See, I felt like there was no closure with Kondo and Akira because I just didn't feel like they did a good enough job of explaining what the relationship is by the end of that episode. But other than that, this show was amazing. I think it was the ED that I really liked from this show.
Refrain by Amer. Yeah, fantastic.
The opening and the ED were both amazing in the show, honestly. And like some of the artistic stuff they did with like light and the rain ending and starting was amazing.
Yeah. It was also like Leo. I thought it was like a little weird. I think it's like around 7. I think it's after episode 7. Like when episode 8 hits, like there's sort of like a slow, but more noticeable as the episodes go on shift between like the early part of the show from episodes 1 to 7 was like a romance setup, like legit. But then 8 on is much more about those two characters tackling their past demons and like coming to terms with their decisions to like not follow their dreams, and then turning that around, and Akira finding her love of running again, and Kondo finding his love of writing again. But yeah, like especially with like the way the OP was set up, where like it's Akira's like daydream of like a shoujo romance, where she's like literally flying around in the air with alpacas with like Kondo, and like putting their like pieces of heart together and stuff. Like it totally felt like this was going to be a romance, and they're going to like explore like what does this mean, like. And then they just didn't, and like that was what disappointed me about the show. I still think it's really well done. Like some of the best cinematography and animation of the year.
What was it adapted from?
I think a manga, right?
I'll check, but I forget.
I think the first arc was her being in love with loving someone. Like, have you ever had that where you fall in love and you, for a while, you just are like, oh my God, I love being in love with this person. And then after a while...
Yeah, that's definitely like an adolescent feeling for sure.
Exactly, especially since she's so young. And then I think the second arc of the show, where you see her start to realize, like, oh, this man is very old. He's like, what? How old is he again? Like,
he's got to be like in his late 30s, if not 40s.
Yeah,
I don't know.
He's like, what, 40? And she's like 17. And you start to see her realize, like, oh, this can't work. I don't really know him. And she goes through sort of like a struggling, like, grief thing. But then she takes what she learns from that and from the relationship and moves on. And I really liked seeing that character progression and seeing her like come to terms with that almost. It was very interesting and something I haven't seen done.
I didn't feel like she really moved on though.
Oh, I felt like she had.
Yeah, see, I didn't feel that. But I like how they left it open to interpretation like that. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of cool, honestly.
Yeah.
All right.
Yay. Okay.
Who's got the next one?
It's me. So now we have Yuru Camp, which is Comfy Camp. I still need to get the soundtrack for this. I have not done that yet.
Oh, I've listened to it so much this year.
This is like the cutesiest show that's ever existed. Oh
it's the comfiest show ever. That's why it's so good. The thing about this show was there was like never conflict. And like that's why I think it was so comfy to so many people, is because you could go into the episode, you have to worry about, is so-and-so going to survive, or how is so-and-so going to overcome this emotion? No, it's just them constantly goofing off, having fun. Just scenes of Rin driving on her little scooter was like entertaining. And that's all that's happening on the screen because they conveniently put a dog in a window so she can look and wave at it. It's oh man, it's so good, so comfy. I definitely still want to rewatch this show for sure.
I kind of do want to rewatch it. Like reading my comments. Okay, I also like how in this show you can go from like rage hating on parts of the show to like loving parts of the show and laughing about them. Like I think in one episode I raged about what Japanese people apparently consider to be fucking graham crackers, which are not graham crackers.
I remember that. I remember that. You did. You raged hard.
Like, no,
You're totally right.
How dare they?
Because they make s'mores, right?
Yeah, they were using like a cookie instead of a graham
It was
cracker.
like some little
Cookie.
thin biscuit
They're calling
thing.
it
Yeah.
a damn graham cracker. Like savages appropriating American culture. Oh,
Oh,
God.
God. Good
And then
memory.
there was that time you mistook a female character for a male character.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that was the best.
Yes.
That was so the best.
And
So
the
good.
sloppy ass teacher who was drunk
Yeah, she was
all
great.
the time. I still say that would never happen.
Oh no, her job is gone.
Oh, I know.
She lost her job and then possibly was jailed for like endangering young children somehow.
Endangering
You know,
several minors, leaving them drunk in the woods. I don't know. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I just loved the whole atmosphere of this show, just especially which was built a lot by the soundtrack, but also just like these long, lingering shots of like the background art and just like
if
Mount
you have,
Fuji.
if you have a stressed out day, sit
Oh,
down and watch
God.
like any episode in this, and it will definitely help calm you down a little bit.
Mm.
It
and
is
like
so amazing.
my heart was warmed by the fact that this sold like over 14,000 copies per volume. Like I'm so happy that a little show like this can blow up like that and really get a lot of recognition. And we have a season 2 coming. I don't know when, but it's announced. And,
Oh, I wonder what we're going to watch that season.
one of the things I really want from the season 2 is for them to flesh out the side characters a little bit more and give just a little bit more time to the characters. Because I think that is a lot of people's like main complaint about this show is that like Rin is great, Nadeshiko is pretty good, but the other characters don't really get that much time to like really like individualize themselves or like prove themselves. So hopefully season 2 will, if they don't add too many characters to the cast, like allow for that a little bit.
I could take some more Nadeshiko daydreaming. That was an interesting
yes.
intro to an episode. We were all like, "What is going on?"
The rocket tent. Oh, it's so good. I love the ED to that show too. It is just the most calming little piece of music. Fuyu Biori. It's so fantastic. All right. Who has this next show? Who put this here?
You're always after me, Bcom. We're going in order.
Katsu Ramen.
Apparently, we as co-hosts cannot count to like 3.
Absolutely not.
None of us graduated high school, guys. This is our secret we've been keeping from you.
Oh, you obviously have not paid attention to this Google Doc with all these freaking numbers in here. Jesus.
Yeah.
So Ramen's was a good little baseball show.
Yeah, baseball. That's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally a baseball show, right? Yeah, I was like, I really liked a lot of the characters in this show, honestly. Now that I think back on it, like I remember I was listening back to my comments from the end of winter season on this show, and I was like kind of like weirded out by like what they did with Lynn as like a cross-dresser, but now I'm like listening back to that, I'm like, it was fine.
They actually kind of did it well.
Yeah, it was like honestly decent for the time.
I think honestly it may be one of the best representations of a trans person in an anime that's ever been put out there.
What about Zombieland Sock?
I mean that was good too, but like this was this is
No,
the
it's
main
pretty
character.
good.
Yeah, like he
That's true.
he has most of the spotlight of a show.
Yeah, he has a lot. Was it he identifies as a man but still dresses as a woman?
Yeah,
I believe
also
that's what
get,
his
like
thing
a
was.
pivotal point of the anime that he's trans.
No.
And then they have like that gay couple also who have like the little kid as well, or like take care of the little kid.
Oh, the bar people. I remember that.
Oh yeah, that was epic. I love that. They were so cute.
She's like, I have to go pee, and then she secretly plants like a bomb car or something.
And the jazz soundtrack was actually pretty good too. I really enjoyed that. yeah, like this show kind of got overlooked a lot, and it's totally like serviceable. Like I gave it a 5 back then, but like a 5 for me is like an average show. Like it's a pretty like, and there's a lot of below average shows this year. Let me tell you, so like not bad at all.
I also like that Lynn had to like kill his ex or whatever.
Phelan.
Yeah.
Oh God, I don't even remember names.
That was pretty epic. There's not a lot of anime where they'll have one character kill their like actual ex. I was like, oh shit. Oh,
yeah.
Shit. And then I remember in the last episode they had that scene with the high heel that we had that huge debate over.
Oh yeah.
Oh, what did we
Where
talk
he
about?
jumped out of a window with the high heels.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
They didn't
crushed
break.
his
Oh
old
yeah,
shit.
I said no. He jumps out that window, he lands, it just completely shatters his legs. I remember this now. Yeah, I was like, no, he's done for in those high heels.
Yeah, I really do want a season 2 of this.
Yeah.
I'd definitely watch it. Sure.
Oh my god, is it me?
Jesus,
is it me?
it's you.
It's Ito Junji, bitches!
Oh
Holy
my
fuck!
God. Skip it.
Oh no, you don't get to skip this show. Although everyone I try to introduce the show to is like, ew, it's disgusting. Ugh.
Well, you can't lead in with the oil episode,
Well,
okay?
the oil episode is the most epic. Well, okay, so I tried to
It is
introduce...
also the most disgusting.
I tried to introduce Ito Junji recently to my new boyfriend, and he was like, no, it's gross. Ew.
It's disgusting. It's a disgusting episode. Like
didn't work.
just thinking about makes me want to get up and go wash my face.
Oh God, yeah.
But yeah, no, this show was awesome.
No, it wasn't.
Talking about it was awesome.
We
You
both
guys
gave it a 3.
You're
had
so
the best
bad.
conversations about this anime.
I
We did have
hated
good conversations.
watching every single freaking episode. It was so rough.
It was just so weak compared to the source material. The source material is so amazingly good, and this anime was just like meh. Like the animation was so bad.
It was bizarre in so
music
many
wasn't
ways.
good.
If you like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, you should like this anime.
What?
This anime
No,
is
no,
like,
no.
what the fuck? Every time. You're like, what's happening? I don't
I
understand.
love JoJo, and I hate this show.
But like, there'll be someone where people are getting drowned in waterfalls and becoming zombies, and then the next episode there's like some weird ass fly trap thing killing people. Like,
No, go back to the people drowning, because then by the end of that, they have psychic superpowers and they're battling, and
I
then
know.
like 2 of them just disappeared. I'm like, what fucking nonsense am I watching?
I know.
Not
and
even
that's all in
JoJo
one
goes to that level.
episode. And and it becomes more and more weird, and you're just like, what? But it's epic because it's so weird.
Mm-hmm. If you say
Jesus.
so.
I
say
guess this
go
was my
read it.
trash show. Like, I know it's slightly trash, but I love it for the trash it is.
Mhm.
Like, everyone should watch this just so they can hate, bitch about it, and laugh. Honestly, in my opinion.
Leo, I think we should talk about this next one as if it's only halfway through.
As the mid-season. So yes, the
Yeah.
mid-season score for Darling in the
Oh,
Franxx,
no.
where we are generally pretty positive, especially in Kat's case, halfway through this show.
Mhm.
So you will see why I made this my lock for the second season, and then it
Yeah.
went to shit. But yeah, up to the midpoint, it was...
It's all right.
It wasn't really doing anything bad yet. I mean, we kind of saw things coming, but we couldn't. Like I put here, it's just really hard to see where we're going from here. And like, I just needed to see the bigger picture of what's going on, which turned into nonsense later. But I was pretty generous. I was giving it a 7. I wanted to be very positive about this.
Well, I think
But-
there's a tendency to want to expect that a show will tie up the loose ends that it creates.
Mhm.
And so we saw these threads and we're going, ooh, this could be put together in such different ways. Ooh, how interesting. Not knowing that they were just going to drop half of those plot threads and just be like, bye, bitches, and like go off into space, literally.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I was laughing. I was listening to my comments on this earlier today, back from mid-season, and I was saying something like, yeah, they've been like making all these allusions to like sexual innuendo and gender identities and all this stuff, and like I don't really trust Trigger to like bring these home in the way that's not offensive to anyone. I just laughed so hard because I was like, "Welp, they totally didn't." But
That's
yeah,
awesome.
like this was still like early on. It was like a really fun show. I wish it had gone like a goofier route than it ended up going. It went so serious and like had like this big like thing it wanted to say, but it was also really unclear because it was so jumbled. But like if it had just been like a goofy show about people like basically having sex and mechs,
Yeah.
it would have been more fun. I don't know.
Yeah, because we tried to read into it too much, basically.
The next show, though, very important inclusion in
Oh
winter.
my god.
The Citrash updates.
Oh god, the Citrash
One final
update.
Citrash update.
That you picked up for the specific reason of just fucking hate watching. Let me put that out there.
Yeah.
Citrus. All right. Yeah, Citrus was shit. It was offensive. It was like girls like sexually
It was
assaulting
girl
each other
on
into
girl
loving
rape,
each other.
The anime.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
But the girls were really cute, especially the main girl with like the Gyaro girl with the blonde hair, whose name I don't even remember. It's not May, that's the other one. But yeah, she was really fun. But the situations that the anime got the characters into were just so they belonged in a hentai. They did not belong in an anime.
Well, but that's what this is basically. It's like a thinly masked hentai.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think I remember saying it was like a yaoi with girls, because yaois are very much based on like, and now
Yes.
it's raping time, and like
Yes.
that's basically what this show
That's
was.
totally what this is, and like. There are so many better Yuri things this year. Some we won't even talk about, like Asagao Tokase-san is a great OVA. Bloom Into You is better Yuri. Like, I don't know. So many things. But yeah, this was a dumb and funny way to start the year off, just like trashing on this. It was good
Oh,
times.
you forgot Girl in Twilight. That was a good Yuri anime,
Oh yeah,
too.
Grand Twilight. Good year.
All right, that's it for the winter 2018. And we can move on to the spring 2018. And you are up, Kat.
All right. Oh wait, first we were gonna go down through all.
Oh,
of
yeah,
the
we wanted to
shows.
go through some other mentions we didn't actually cover on the podcast.
Let's
Yeah.
try to go super fast, like lightning round, like one-liners, because we have been going a little
Okay,
long. So.
actually, didn't we start on Gurenkai Senki, and that just turned
Oh
out to
yeah, like you
shit.
remember?
We were just-
You remember? Fucking Grand Cross. Do you remember how you wanted to cover it? And,
Good times.
be... Oh, wait, and Kat, you watched all of Beatless, right?
oh yeah, I did.
You watched
You're
all of
insane.
that?
It was not a good decision.
Oh,
no,
God.
it wasn't.
Did anybody watch Killing Bites?
I watched a bunch of
watched
Killing
that.
Bites. That show is delicious trash.
It
It's
is delicious
pretty fun.
trash. Oh, do you remember the Pop Team Epic? That was this season too.
That's one of my favorite OPs of the year, actually. They like break the TV with like a nail bat, and then it's just like a assault on your senses of all these weird, like they spread the girl like she's toothpaste on a toothbrush, and like all these things. It's like really dumb and stupid, but I really
The
liked
hell?
Okay, I will say
Yeah.
one like Gakuen Babysitters. How
Oh, God.
Japan thinks that pedophiles are funny? Question
How
mark?
about also Ryo no Oshigoto, another way that Japan thinks pedophiles are funny.
What is that?
That's the show where it's like shogi, like he trains like this
was
little
that
girl to
this
play
season
shogi.
too? Oh
Yes,
my
it was.
God.
I will say something we completely missed because I have recently watched all of Cardcaptor Sakura, and I'm like part of the way into Cardcaptor Sakura Clear Card, and that show is actually really good.
Yeah.
They did a really good job.
Then you had some disappointment. I loved actually Yoamushi Pedal. We got more of that this season. I adored every second of it. This was actually the season that Idolish 7 came out, which had a huge fan following and still does.
Mm-hmm.
Was this the season in Devilman Crybaby also?
I don't-
Yes, it was.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
not on the like traditional schedule. Devilman was.
Yeah, unfortunately, we didn't pick that up because they just did a drop, and that doesn't really. They dropped all the episodes at once, and that doesn't really work for our format. So
Yeah.
It was also the season of the second half of Three Gatsu no Lion second season, which was
'cause
amazing.
They don't. Yeah, it was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I love that show. That's one of my favorite shows of all time. And then last but not least, well, okay, I love the original Basilisk. It is one of my probably top 10 favorite anime that I've ever watched. It's epic and violent and awesome. This, like, sequel that they made for winter 2018, oh, it pissed me off so much. I remember being enraged.
Wow.
But watch the original. Do it.
Any other mentionables?
Yeah, one last thing I want to mention is that Hugto Precure was airing. It's a kids show, like about cute girls doing fun things. I haven't watched all of the show yet, but what I have seen has been really strong. Like, one thing I will recommend, like above anything else, is a couple of the EDs. I think it's like ED like 3 and 4 or 4 and 5 of this season are these CGI dance performances of like the main girls in the series, and they are the cutest shit ever. They're some of my favorite EDs of the entire year. Yes, more powerful. It's so good.
Oh my God.
I highly recommend seeking them out and watching them. They're amazing. But yeah, and Hugto Precure I've only heard really good things about. So you might want to try and pick it up. It's cool. 49 episodes.
All right, spring 2018. It's you, Kat.
Okay, Golden Kamui. This is when we first fell in love with Golden Kamui.
Well,
Look
you
at
and me did.
Bcom. Oh my God, look at how Bcom rated it at 5 at the end of season 1. Bcom's
I
over
hated
here
the humor.
hating on it. Like,
Hated it.
I hate Golden Kamui. This show is all about dicks. I don't like dicks, even though I have one. I'm gonna rate it a 5.
That's a stupid argument. Even though I have one. If there was a show that was constantly making like vagina jokes and you hated it, I could use the same argument against you, I guess. Like, Jesus. Oh, man.
Yeah, for the reasons Bcom hated it was the reasons I loved it, because when it started changing up halfway through, like I thought I didn't want to, but I really loved the humor. So I was totally on board with it. You, on the other hand, as you said, literally they dick around for 6 episodes.
They do.
I loved how incredulous you were. You're just like, dick jokes in an anime? This is much too highbrow of a source.
It was because of how they started things out. Like, beyond the CGI bear, our best friend, he
I love that guy.
Is all this cool stuff about like the Ainu. And so something I've heard from people who have read the manga, and someday I will read the manga for this, is that they did cut out like a lot of like the world building stuff about the Ainu in the anime because they just didn't have like the time to put it in the episodes. But like they say that, but they had time for all these fucking dick jokes. Like, they could have left some of that shit in.
They must have decided that the humor route was the better route to go. I'm guessing
it really was, though, to be honest.
Like, we'll get into it, but man, season 2, it just ramps up the jokes that even Bcom and his negativity couldn't take it anymore.
I still think my favorite scene of like season 1 or 2, though, is the scene where the convict is running out of the house onto the beach and like the whole slow motion thing with the whale.
Oh, yeah.
And
oh, that guy.
That is the best scene that has ever... Once again, because it's bizarre as fuck.
Oh, good times.
Okay, we can talk about some more when we get to the second part. But the next one is Legend of the Galactic Heroes, which I honestly only watched because these two voted it high enough.
Oh, poor Leo.
It's really... it was fine in the end. It's just... This one's just not my cup of tea. This one's just not really for me.
I think we replaced Maho Shoujo Ore, if I remember correctly.
Poor Leo was forced to eat some culture. He didn't like it.
Uncultured swine.
Yeah.
So what do you guys have to say about it? Because I really don't have anything to say about the show.
It was really good. It was a really good remake of the original. The original's still better. Watch the original.
There were some parts of the remake that I liked and appreciated, that they added things from the books. There were also a lot of parts, though, that they took out of the original and the book, like from the books that they skipped. And I was like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I felt like they skipped ahead a lot towards the end because they wanted to get to a certain battle, and they really should have just slowed their ass down and slowed their roll, and they didn't. So I also recommend you watch the original, not this new one. But it's very shiny. And I'm
excited for the movies.
Yeah, it's shiny. I'll give it that.
Super shiny. Nice CG. The next show is Oroku Hodo Yotsuhiro Biori, which, man, this show kind of came out of nowhere and really kind of won all of us over, surprisingly. It's just like a little show about like really cute guys who own and run a cafe and like cook and make like coffee and like just care so much about every little aspect of doing that job and being hospitable like the right way. And
I love this show.
Yeah, it's so good and it's very comfy. And I remember really loving the ending song for this show a lot. It's really like just nice music and like nice like weird watercolor transitions between the scenes. Just a great show overall, like for what it is.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Kat knew she was gonna like it, but you and me were definitely like, oh man, what the hell is this show? Even it's a bunch of pretty boys making food. There's no way. Then like episode 2's rolling around and we're both like, I really like this show now.
It had us under its spell like pretty early on, honestly.
And what I really like is how all the guys interact with each other. Like it's a very positive vibe thing, which probably why, if I compared it to like Run with the Wind, is why I like these guys so much better than them, because the Run with the Wind just seemed like this useless crybaby drama to me. But these guys were like, there was the scene where they were doing the mochi and they got to put their hands in and turn it and like hit it with the hammer. And we were talking about like, oh man, how many fingers do you think people break just doing this stupid thing?
Oh, no, and then we just looked it up. We're like, we're determined to find out how many people in Japan break their hands from mochi every year. I think we compared it to like people in the U.S. frying turkey and how many people end up going to the fucking hospital.
Burning themselves.
And like Leo compared it to like people in the UK burning themselves while making tea and
yeah,
makes sense.
Oh,
good times.
It is Kat's turn.
Oh yeah, God, it is.
It's fantastic anime. Yeah.
So Steins Gate Zero was.
This was the mid-season score, and we never finished it.
No.
Well, I went back and finished it, but like, yeah.
And what's crazy, Bcom had nothing to say about it. That's really rare.
6 out of 10, and then nothing. I don't know what was going on with this and like Yotsuro Biori. I had like no things written down before I went in.
You know it's bad when Bcom can't speak. Yeah.
I think I was in denial. I was like, God, Steins Gate is a 10 out of 10 anime, and this is like a fucking 6. I don't know what to say.
Yeah. It's bad.
It ended up lower than a 6 eventually, but like even halfway through, it had moved so slow. Like all of the complaints about the first Steins Gate that I didn't personally agree with, about how like the first half is really slow moving, this show like actually did feel that way to me. Like I really felt like it was a snail's pace, and like I was really struggling with Okabe just being like depressed all the time, not even like a remote like signature of the mad scientist he used to be once upon a time. And like a bunch of the other characters just felt off. Like I don't know. And like lacking Kurisu, that was a big loss. Like I understand the reason why she's not there, and they tried to kind of replace her with fake Kurisu, but that didn't really work out. Yeah, I don't know.
Like, isn't this the show where they wasted a whole episode on
a song?
A song.
Yes.
Yeah. We were subjected to 25 minutes of them being like, "Where's the song from? I don't know. Was it from you? It wasn't from me. Was it from you? It wasn't from me." And like walking around and being like, "Who heard the song?" Like, no one gave a fuck. I don't understand. It was not a good anime.
No, it really wasn't.
Okay. Moving on to our most heated show that we debated is Doreku, the animation.
Doreku.
I honestly still, even thinking back on it, I enjoyed this show. I didn't see the problem with slavery. It was the setup. It was the premise for this show, for this game they were playing. It wasn't saying it was a good thing at all. It honestly, in the end, it was saying it was a bad thing in the end, and they abolished it. But man, Bcom, is this the lowest you've ever given a show?
Well, on the podcast, maybe. Yeah. I think the show that we finished on the podcast for sure. I have other ones, like you can check my mal or my Annie list if you want to see my ones. But like, yeah, I think since I was listening to my comments on this earlier today, like I would say I would refer people back to like that. But I just want to read what I wrote word for word, because I didn't really say it like when we were recording. I said something slightly different. So I'll just say about Doreku, 1 out of 10, literally one of the worst pieces of garbage I've ever had the misfortune of watching.
I started out hoping that it would be good, hoping that they would do something strategic with it and go a certain way and be smart because it's Japan. And I was like, well, surely Japan understands that they can't do what they ended up doing. Surely Japan knows. And then Japan just like fell down the pit of despair. And I'm like, no, Japan, no. And then
my favorite thing about the Doreki stuff was like, up until episode 6, I was still under the delusion that I could like change Leo's mind. If I just found like the right combination of words to say, I could change Leo's mind. And like it escalated so much, like to the point where like I was writing my notes in like a separate document so Leo couldn't see them beforehand.
He
was
had
like
so
a
aggressively dissertation. He had like a dissertation each episode on why Leo should hate Doreku and why he should change his
so
mind.
ridiculous. Like in the end, I really should not have cared as much as I did about this anime.
I feel like this show almost tore the podcasting community in two. Because you had like some podcast hosts who were like, I hate this show, da-da-da-da, and then some podcast hosts were like, this is an interesting show. None as much as Leo, but...
Oh God, yeah, sure.
We'll definitely talk a little bit about that later on in this podcast when we get into our biggest statistical disagreements of the year, because this is definitely one of those. Yeah. That's hilarious.
Oh, you picked this next show, Bcom.
I locked Hisone Tomasa-tan, our dragon pilot. Yeah.
The show with no ending.
Yeah.
Kat, how did they get out of the mountain?
We don't know. We don't know how they got out of the fucking mountain, Leo.
Kat, why does Hisone keep licking the dragon?
God.
I remember that too. She hates that
dragon
shit.
fetish. I don't know. I guess she... Ugh, I don't want to think about what she does with the dragon, actually.
I was so hyped about this show, like, after, like, the first episode. Like, I really thought it was going to be something special. I really liked, like, the weird, different character designs that Bones were using for this. Like, I think they had, like, a lot of expressiveness. Like, especially when you watch them in the ED, like, Le Temps de Rentrée, the French song that they sing and dance to.
Really good.
It's so good. A good song, yeah. It's catchy.
But yeah, it's just like the show just like really went
do you
like
sit
a
there
weird
and try
direction.
to sing along, but you can't because it's in fuking French?
Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna be fancy today. I'm gonna try and sing it, and then
you're
halfway
like,
through,
lava to do that.
Yeah, you're like, oh no, I'm
nonsense.
a Midwestern hick. I can't sing this song, and then you just shut your mouth in despair, and you're like,
God.
okay.
Yeah, I think this show is a pretty big letdown for all of us.
And yeah, we were annoyed by the way that relationship went with like the harassy pilot.
That was so bad.
Yeah, that was so dumb. But yeah, I just wish the show had gone a little bit differently. Like I liked a lot of things about it.
It gave us this premise of like, oh, how can you reconcile having a career and having a family as a modern woman? And then they're just like, and we're gonna ignore that we pose this question. And we're not going to actually end the anime. We're just going to basically do a thumbs up at the screen and tell you goodbye.
Yep.
Yeah. Pretty bad letdown.
How about that next one? Whose turn is it? The cat? Who's after me?
Oh no, it's Cat. It's been the same since we started.
I remember.
Okay, so this next one is Megalobox, which I rated the worst of anyone because okay, you can't get me and make me fall in love with your show and be all hyped for it and then just shit the bed like the show did, in my opinion. It ended terribly.
The ending did not make a ton of sense to me narratively. Like there was a lot of plot threads, and a lot of them just did not come together at the end of the show.
There was the military thing. Like, why was that even in there if they weren't going to give it some more screen time?
Especially after they had like Aragaki.
What the hell was that all
his
about?
arc? I mean, the soundtrack is so good by Mabanua. It's really great.
That I do have.
I hope they do more soundtracks in the future. I thought like the way that they went back like to the throwback animation was really cool. The way that they added that filter and that grungy feel.
I love
really
all
good.
the animation and just how it looked in this show. It was so good.
And like some of those like those rap songs, like where like that rapper who has like the goggles is like singing over like the desolate city, like that reminded me of like stuff like commercials from Toonami in like the 90s and the 2000s that people still post to this day. Like they captured that feel. That is something that I think a lot of people were like missing in modern anime. You don't see it very often, and they did a really good job of that.
Yeah.
I definitely liked it. Is it me, guys?
I think it's you.
Our next show is Wotakoi.
Aw.
I mean, we talked about Hisono Tommaso Tan letting us down, but this one really will let us down because we really had high hopes.
You know,
And
this song, it reminds me of that song that was it's been popular on the radio recently, where like that artist is like, "Baby, won't you let me down slowly?" Da, 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 da. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes,
Shows like this
Yeah.
make me feel like that. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
why'd you do this?
It's interesting. We all were just like 5, let me down, disappointed, average show. Just like, God.
Yeah, we all gave it a 5. Yeah.
I kept hoping so much during this show. I was like, they're gonna give us something. They're gonna do it because like it was like what's the block that I'm thinking of that the show was part of?
Noitamina.
No, it was a Noitamina.
This is funny because like
show.
I was listening to this earlier today, and or like when we talked about this, and you asked me the same question back then. It's kind of funny.
Well, I know exactly what block it is, and I know it's like the adult block, and so I had so much faith in this show. I was like, it's a Noitamina show. It's gonna happen. They're gonna give us something. They won't let us down.
Also, the two main characters' relationship had basically no progression by the end of that show.
Yeah.
And that was the biggest letdown. Like we really wanted to see otakus make it work somehow, and they went nowhere.
There's a lot of cute moments between them, but yeah.
Yeah, I think this was the moment where I decided that Japan was in fact doomed, and that they are going to go. Because like if Noitamina couldn't do it in the same block that ran the one where the Yakuza guy got sucked off in the bath. On the screen.
Oh God, Inuyashiki.
Oh, yeah. If the same block that ran that show on national TV in Japan, a Yakuza guy getting sucked off in a bathhouse, they can't show a relationship progressing in a show because it's too risque. Japan is doomed. They're gonna die.
For me, I remember it was just the guys that really let me down. Like, I loved the girls. I know Leo's like best waifu of the year might be Hanako. Like it definitely was at the time.
Pink kind of stole that. Deanna kind of stole that
Deanna
later on.
The double decker.
Yeah.
But yeah, like God, the guys kind of sucked. Both of them. One because he had no progression. The other because he was like kind of like weirdly abusive early on. I didn't like him. But yeah. Am I next, Leo?
Yes.
Hina, you're so upset that I have this one. Hina Matsuri. This was a damn good show. Like one of the best comedies of the year, and a comedy that had like a lot of heart to it too. Mm-hmm. Like Anzu was such a fantastic character.
She became so popular with the community; it was insane.
I think she's on a lot of like best character of the year lists this year that I've seen. Her little arc is great.
Because I'd read the manga and I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I knew people were going to love it, but even I was blown away by the feedback. I was like, oh, whoa, everybody's loving this a little too much.
Yeah.
Back down a little.
And I think the relationship between Nita and Hina like flies under the radar a little bit. Like people don't talk about it as much, but like there's so many ways that could have like gone south, like especially in today's fucking anime industry where like having like a nude lolly show up in your house. like I remember being like really on edge in the first episode. I was like, oh God, how is this gonna go?
I remember telling you that this is the worst it gets. It doesn't even think about revisiting this later on.
Yes. It like doesn't at all. Like their relationship is just really heartwarming and hilarious. Both of them are really funny. And yeah, can't wait. I hope they make more.
Yeah, there is still a ton more manga out there. I remember Kat being a little disappointed that Nita didn't do more like Yakuza stuff.
Yeah, I kept being like, well, at least like intimidate someone or kill someone or something. You're a Yakuza.
and I will say the rest of the series is pretty much it shows up and then it goes away and then it comes back again and it goes away. And this is pretty much its rhythm for the whole series, which is I mean, it's very popular, so
Well, I think
something
my
out.
strange fascination with Yakuza boys started with Yu Yu Hakusho, and I just love them all ever since. It's never gone away.
So
it's you, Kat.
Tell
Finish us off.
This show.
Oh, I will. Don't worry. No, anyway. Darling in the Franxx. Well, this was the end of Darling in the Franxx. I give it a decent score because I mean it's still a very popular show in the anime community. Like I have very casual friends who are just now discovering it because it's still circulating.
Yeah.
In the community. And to me, that means the show is a success. There's not very many shows every year that become quote-unquote successes. And this was one of them. And no matter how much critically we may have problems with it, you still have to acknowledge that when it happens.
Yeah, there are good reasons that it got as popular as it did. I think part of those reasons is it stole from a lot of really good shows.
No.
I specifically say, have you seen Evangelion and any of Trigger's past shows? Oh, you have? Then you've seen this one also. Yeah, that was my big thing too. I couldn't stop sitting there and just thinking of, darn it, Gurren Lagann.
Yeah.
So much like every time that's happened, I'm like, this pretty much happened in that show.
Yeah, like Kat's saying, like how this kind of blew up. I'm so excited for when Evangelion airs on Netflix this year. It is going to be a fucking huge event when all of these people finally have like easy access to that show and are many of them watching it for the first time. And I think even a lot of people who probably watched Darling in the Franxx have not seen Evangelion yet. And when they do, oh man, it's going to be like a weird awakening for them when they're like, oh, why did I like that show? This show's like really like actually good. Like, I don't understand. Like, damn, this is incredible. But yeah, we talked like endlessly about like the weird political messaging of this show. It definitely, I don't know. Man,
it didn't do it.
It's
well.
so frustrating
I
to
still
watch.
think, I mean, if you can watch episode 2 and you love episode 2, then you will love this anime. if you
I don't
watch
know, 'cause
episode
I liked
2,
episode 2.
and
man.
you were like, "Oh, I what is this? What has happened?" Then you probably shouldn't watch this anime.
Well, yeah, that's maybe, but like, yeah, it just got really weird with like any characters that were gay dying or like suffering near the end, and like, and then like, well, first of all, it was really unclear about which characters were or were not gay or bi and non-gender.
The
like
thing
non-binary.
with the one character then being like, and now I'm not gay anymore. Like, that was some bullshit. Now I'm going to date this girl, and it's gonna work out. And it's like,
I will say one thing. Ichigo had every fucking right to kiss Hiro. She did nothing wrong. She was protecting her friend. Fuck 02. She's a shit character.
No, okay. Ichigo was out of line. She was being kind of a bitch.
No, she was not.
She know that came from a heart of jealousy and rage. It did not come from, I'm worried for him as a friend. It came from, I want his dick.
No.
And this other girl has his dick, and I'm angry. You know that's what it was.
I think it was a mixture of things. I think it was all of those things, not just one or the other.
Okay, so some of the other shows that aired that season, did anybody watch Tokyo Ghoul Re?
Hell no.
How about Tadakun Never Falls in Love? I know we talked about that one.
I feel bad because I've still never finished that show. I watched 5 episodes and thought it was like pretty decent, but I just wasn't won over by it.
Okay, there was also Persona 5, the animation. That didn't go over very well, did it?
Not
it didn't. I never finished it because I heard it was not a great adaptation, and I still haven't finished the game a year later.
Gun Online went well. That was
Gun Online was fun as shit. I love that show.
Yeah.
Okay,
oh my god, can we talk about how fucking terrible 3D Kanojo is and how it has a second fucking season now?
The second season airing right now.
But they can't give Tonketsu Ramens a second season. Oh no. But they can give 3D Kanojo a second season.
Did anybody watch all of 3D Kanojo?
No.
I hope not. If you
Spoiler
watched
alert,
all
we're
of
not
3D
going to cover it this
Kanojo,
season.
you should go into your basement and just die a lonely death. How dare you?
Speaking of dying a lonely death, let's talk about Maho Shoujo's site.
This is great because I still read this manga and I was like, this is not going over well. I knew it was going to be so bad.
Maho Shoujo site.
Oh my god, that first episode is just like textbook. If anybody ever asks me, what do you mean by edgy? I will just direct them to a link to this show, the first episode. That is my definition of edgy.
I think my favorite, because I watched this whole thing, I think my favorite parts of this anime were the weird, cheerful, yet creepy things with the brother.
Oh god, yeah.
Okay.
Like,
him punching her in the stomach like at
but like he would have these weird like little self intros where he was like
the endings.
Where he was thinking his own thoughts in his head, and it's very like cheerful and and you're just like, you're insane.
Didn't we watch half of Devil's Line?
Oh, I love Devil's Line. This was a trash show.
We didn't watch
me.
half.
I watched it. And as I was watching it, I was like, this is not a good show, but I'm going to keep watching it for some unknown reason. And then I would click to the next episode.
What about, there's this one amazing show we skipped over. Horse Girls Pretty Derby.
We did half of it, right?
Yeah, we did half of it.
Did we
Then he admitted defeat.
I thought I thought I didn't pick it up at all. No, we didn't. No, we did like half of Maho Shoujo Ore.
We did the first half of Pretty Derby because I remember watching at least 6 episodes and then never watched it again. Yeah,
I didn't remember covering it on the podcast, but we should have because it's a great show.
I watched a lot of anime this season. I watched Kakurio. I loved that show. Actually, I almost put it in my top 10 because I enjoyed it so much. I don't know why, because it's not even that like original of a show, but I liked it a lot.
Yeah. Gegege no Kitaro came out. Oh, Full Metal Panic as well. I never watched it.
I didn't watch that either.
That was really good.
That's about it for me for this season, unless you guys got some more.
Piano no Mori was this season. That was epic. Yes. Everyone should watch that.
Anything else? Oh, Lupin Part 5 was that season, and I watched more and more of that over the course of the year. Very good show. Like, maybe one we should have covered.
Oh my god, Major the Second started this season.
Also Gurazeni.
Major the Second. Oh, and Gurazeni. Both amazing shows that you should watch. What sports show do you know that's a baseball anime where they have the catcher be the main character?
It's rare, honestly.
That's awesome.
It's kind of cool.
Everyone should watch those 2 shows for different reasons.
Oh boy.
All right, okay. Let's change things up. Let's have a break here. We'll do 3 breaks because this is a big one.
Fancy 3 breaks.
So
we'll see you guys in a bit.
Back. Hey, dude, you into anime, manga, and all that radical stuff?
Oh yeah, man, it's tubular.
Then you should totally check out the.
This transmission has been hacked. If you want discussions, debate, reviews, and all in between, you must listen to the Anime Radicals Network at www.animeradicals.com. There's timely reviews, revolutions, mecha, and much more. Find it on iTunes, Google Podcasts, and all podcast catchers. The Anime Radicals Network.
The revolution will be simulcast.
And we are now back. Kat has her coffee. I think Bcom got some water.
I did.
I've got a beer, and we're ready to talk about the summer 2018, starting with Angle Moise.
I'm getting Angle Moist just thinking about it.
Oh, God.
While we were on break, I told Bcom I completely forgot about this show. And I had to read my comments and just try to remember what happened. And I was pretty upset about No Closure with Sana.
Oh, yeah.
What the heck happened? And how it just started getting rushed, and then there was the weird superpowers, and it just, I just didn't really know what to think about this show, and just had to give it a 5 because I'm like, I don't think it's good, but I don't think it's bad. So that's where you're sitting.
I felt like this show is what it would be if America tried to make a cartoon about the Revolutionary War or something.
Okay.
That's how I felt about this.
But it would be even smaller than that. It would be one conflict in that war.
Yeah,
Not to downplay how big this was though. This was a huge moment in Japanese history. Fighting off the Mongols changed history in a lot of ways forever. Because if they had just become a colony of the Khanate at that time, that would have changed a lot of shit, probably up and through World War II, most likely even. But
so it felt
yeah.
very like patriotic, and it wasn't meant for us. Basically, it wasn't meant for a Western audience. It was meant for someone who knew a lot about Japanese history and was like, "Oh yeah, look what our ancestors did. They were fucking awesome," you know.
Yeah.
And so I think the fact that this did not hit well with us at all, or with Western audiences in general, had more to do with that than anything else.
Yeah. And I think, like I said at the time, I had more fun reading Wikipedia articles about the conflict than maybe I did watching
Yeah.
the end of the show.
That should say something about a show for sure.
Yeah, well, because I was super psyched about it. I love historical anime, and we get so few of them. We had the Persian one last year, I think. What was it called?
Oh God, I can't remember. It's not the Arslan Senki. It's the other one. It's
Tanya and the Saga of Evil?
no.
It's the one where they basically tried to pretend that the Persian conflict was like not the Persian conflict. They kept putting in like, this is not portray real events, and like it completely portrayed real events.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know who they think they're fooling on that, but yeah, the blonde kid and the
I know exactly which one you're talking about. The name escapes me at the moment.
It was on Amazon Prime.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
But yeah, I love that anime, and so I was hoping for more of the same with this, except with Japanese history, but it didn't turn out that way.
Yeah.
But hey, I mean, that art was still awesome.
One of these days we'll get an awesome historical show about like the Sengoku Jidai like samurai period in anime. Like I just want one of those. Like I know they've made them in the past, but I want like a modern one with like great animation and like awesome storytelling.
I guess
could really
Golden
use that.
Kamuy isn't helping you with that.
Golden Kamuy's honestly season 2 did help me with that a lot. That was a little bit later period though, like that. But that's heading into the 20th century. But still, like I love that they covered that area of history that I knew very little about. It was kind of cool. But this next show, is this me again, Leo?
Yep.
I really want it to be me because I want to scream about this show.
Well, you'll get your chance.
You'll get your chance.
Sirius the Jaeger. Wow, were those fight episodes in like episode 1 and 2 great? Like they were so
The first
good.
half of the show was great. The second half just went off the fucking rails.
God, like, but I loved how unsettling like the vampires were early on, and it kind of sucks like when you juxtapose it against like how like boring the vampires were at the end of the show. Like, they replaced them with like vampires that were not as exciting. Basically, I think another podcast put it this way. I don't know who it was. I wish I could give proper credit, but like they took like the really cool vampires from early on and replaced them with
that woman was like crazy. Awesome.
Yeah, she was so good.
And
like
then she died, and that was the end of
everywhere.
that. No, but they went with Bcom's favorite, the lolly vampires, for the second half.
Yeah.
Oh,
They didn't, like, all said and done, they didn't do too much, like, crazy, weird stuff with the lolly vampires. They just were there to be kind of cute and weird, but,
They were there to be lolly-ish.
yeah, basically.
I was so fucking pissed with this anime. Started out good. No, you know what? I think I should start with like this my angry like ending thing juxtaposed against another podcast host who just recently started watching it and he was only halfway through.
oh yeah.
Yeah. And he goes, I really like this anime. Oh, it's great. And then here's my final after watching the last episode. Here's what I wrote. Fuck, they never explained anything about the arc, the main plot of the entire anime.
The funny thing about the tweet was that like Bcom brought to her attention, and you and me both looked at it and went, "Oh, he hasn't seen the end yet, has he?"
Yeah,
No. It was very
he's gonna be
obvious.
regretting that in about
Yeah.
5 hours.
Like, I totally understand the point of view of somebody who's like halfway through Sirius the Jaeger thinking like, man, like this is really good. Like this is a really solid anime. It's like a throwback to like old like action shows. And then getting to the end and being like, oh, that sucked. Like,
Yeah,
goddamn.
basically it's like the end is like, oh yeah, there was a guy with sparkly hot pants who looked like a Kiss character.
Yes,
He did some things and then nothing happened. The end.
basically.
It's terrible. Oh man.
I think Kat, you have the mid-season review of the next show.
Banana fish before we knew the tragic fury of.
Okay. Let's just keep this one at scores and how we were generally positive at this point in time. Okay.
Yeah, I was. So I was really negative early on, and then at the very halfway point, I remember being positive because we got that big episode where Ash like breaks down and cries and like confides in Eiji all of his feelings about like his trauma and like how he grew up and like everything he'd been through. And I was like, oh man, this is like really nice and sweet. Like this relationship between Eiji and Ash is like really nice. And I'm sure this is a turning point for the anime now. Like, it'll be great from now on. But yeah, those were my hopes and dreams.
So you gave it a 6. I was being a little more generous and giving it a 7. There was, I think, a couple episodes up into the middle where I was like, I don't know. It didn't kind of go so well for me, but still, I'm being pretty positive. Kat, what about you?
I think I give it like a 7.5. I was feeling pretty positive about it at this point.
Yeah.
It did really good things at first. It's just and then it like just kept doing those things.
Yeah,
over
that
and
was
over.
the problem. Yeah.
It was like a small child who found like a really fun toy, and then they just kept like doing that over and over, and then all the adults were like, "Oh, isn't it cute?" And then after a while, they're like, "Stop! You've already done that." Like,
I mean, I was already complaining about the way they used rape as like a narrative tool, and then by the end of the show, it was just like I was done. But yeah,
well, because it feels genuine the first time, right?
Sure.
And then the second time and the third time, you're like, I don't know if they really needed to use that again. It's kind of sensitive.
They're really hammering this theme.
Yeah. And then from there, you're like,
Okay, we can talk more later. So the next show, Harukana Receive. Yes, love the show.
Waka 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 waka.
Oh God,
that was awesome. Speaking of songs, the music was like legit. Like I know Bcom also like the music was just sucking you into those matches.
This
which
is
is
definitely
really cool.
one of my favorite OSTs of the year. It's so good. Rasmus Faber needs more anime. He's so good.
Yeah. One of the things I really liked about the show was that you could actually learn from it. So you learn like all these terms for the beach volleyball and whatnot. I loved all the girls. I thought they were great. I liked all their character development. They're also lovable. Trying to pick a favorite's really hard. I'm still upset about Haruka and Kanata beating the Thompson sisters somehow. That shouldn't have been possible.
I just like I know how you feel, and I was just always like, well, of course that's what's going to happen because the plot demands it. But yeah,
but it was so real up to that point, and I was like, you let me down.
I knew from like episode 2, I was like, no, this is not. I don't know. Like I felt like I should like it. And I kept waiting to like it, but I just never did.
Yeah. I really appreciated the character designs in this series being like more adults, especially with all the fan service that was involved. Not like super adult. It's not like I don't know, like After the Rain, like Akira's designs or anything with like the long legs. She like really looks like an adult. These are more moe, but still like they feel like young adults rather than just like young, like too young, like a lot of anime. And I appreciated that. I really would love to see a second season of this. I think there's like a real slim chance that we get one, but I would really like it. Maybe even like a movie could finish it off, honestly.
A
like
movie I think would be good. I think they could have good success in the movie. I don't know. This was just Bikini Girls, the anime.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's pretty much what it was.
Yeah, but we're talking
Bikini Girls.
Yeah, but we're talking beach volleyball. What were you expecting, honestly?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it wore on sleeve. You knew what you're getting yourself into, so I don't want to fault it. But one interesting was it was a sports show, and I legit loved it for more than just the fan service. I was really on board. That probably is also because I do like playing volleyball a lot. So
yeah.
Well, and I didn't want to like turn it down. I mean, who doesn't like a little good fan service now and again? It had some really nice like jiggle butt physics.
It did.
And some like interesting
nice
angles.
Bikini snaps.
Yeah, the bikini snaps and like the interesting angles where she would be like getting the ball and like her butt would be like bounced in the air and they would be like you're looking at it as if you're like under her skirt if she was wearing a skirt instead of a bikini.
Yeah.
I was like, that is a smart angle that they just used.
I just like the behind the back, like giving the signals for like where to serve or where we're gonna like.
Oh, the very tasteful, like.
Yeah.
I mean, you're supposed to be looking at the signal, but
Yeah.
you're really looking at her ass.
Oh hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, that's 100% legit. So.
I know it is legit. It's totally legit. So, oh man, it's so funny. It's just a fun summer show. Like that's what I always say. It's just perfect for its summer.
Yeah. Okay, what was the angle of this fucking next show, Bcom?
So, Happy Sugar Life. Let me say one great thing about this show, and that is Sato's aunt. She is one of the most unsettling characters I've ever seen in anime, and in kind of like a good way. I know Kat and I like went crazy for her when we were watching this show because like she was just insane. Like she had this crazy personal philosophy that you have to accept the love of another person, but also everything that comes along with that love, like all of their faults, like all of their demons.
She got that cop to come back.
Oh, she did.
For the trash that this show was and the way it ended, which was absolute trash, it had some weirdly psychological and like philosophical questions in the middle. Like the part with the aunt, like her Sato's aunt, and accepting someone, like even the fucked up parts of them, even if that means they like beat you with the fucking edge of your life, and she just sit there smiling, or like the thing I thought was most artistic and interesting about the anime was the episode with the guy who drew her.
Oh yeah, that was all framed from his point of view with no dialogue. Well, there was some like muffled dialogue that became clearer as the episode went on. He started to lose his mind because he didn't have control over his little innocent girl anymore. Yeah, no, that episode was fantastic. And then the ending is just a fucking shit show.
Then you're like, what?
God.
We're back to this? What happened to the... Yeah. It's a weird juxtaposition. But yeah, the show is trash. It's weird and fucked up.
But it's
like
interesting
how many
trash.
molesters can we fit in one anime? Count it with us. And then they try the hardest.
Yeah, I don't have anything to say. The show's just god awful. But interestingly, I do have a funny story about the main character. What was her name?
Sato.
Sato. So if anybody's familiar with Destiny 2, you probably know who Miss 5000 Watts is. Mm-hmm. Well, she cosplayed her in when she was streaming one time. And it's so funny because my buddy was watching her stream and he was telling me about her costume. And the more he goes on, the more I start getting like the head tilt. Like, whoa, hold on. I got to look this up.
Second.
And I looked it up and I was like, okay, dude, this is what who she is cosplaying. And I was just telling him how fucked up this show was. And he's like, oh, like he just thought it was some like crazy, like Japanese girl cosplay. And I was like, no, you have no idea who the fuck she is cosplaying. And I want to know why she is cosplaying as her.
Oh, that's hilarious.
But yeah, it's just funny. He just keeps describing her and he's like, oh, and she had these weird contacts in. And I'm just like, there's no fucking way he's talking about what I'm thinking about. Ooh, oh God, Kat.
Kat has this next show.
Yes.
Well, introduce us to it. I'm going to talk about
really, Bcom should have it, but it's mine. It's Revu Starlight. Leo and I did not like the show. We got bored, and like I don't even think we were paying attention towards the end. I was trying to pay attention. I would
watch the show and then find myself staring at the wall, looking at the cat's tail twitch while it slept, and just missing entire scenes. And it was so hard that like I refrained from ranking it because of that. Because like I did not give this the time of day to even have an opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I would look back at the screen after like wondering about paint drying or something and being like, isn't it fascinating compared to this anime? And then I would look back and be like, oh, they are fighting again. They're wearing the capes. Okay.
Mm-hmm. What does a swan mean this time?
Yeah. What's the fucking giraffe gonna tell us now? Tell us something. What was it? Was it giraffe or was it some other
giraffe? Wakarimasu.
Yeah, I was like, I thought it was a giraffe.
Yeah, I understand like getting bored with this anime because structurally it's completely repetitive every episode, right? Like there's always like the slice of life half in the beginning, and it's like not really the best slice of life shenanigans we've ever seen, especially not even this year. There's many other better slice of life shows. And then the second half is like the really cool musical performances every time, which are really cool, but also it's kind of the same thing every time. So I understand why you would get like bored and say like, oh, this is the same thing over and over again. For me, I've kind of gained more respect for this anime ever since it aired in hearing the soundtracks that have come out. They're basically split into two. There's one that is just like the musical background soundtrack, which is gorgeous, especially if to listen to on its own. It is absolutely beautiful soundtrack. But then there is the soundtrack of all of the insert songs that the girls sing during the fight scenes, which are also incredible, like theatrical, like performances. And so like that is the thing this anime does the best, is that the music elements of all of it. Now, obviously it is like a musical, so that makes sense, but they really went all out. And I think they did an amazing job with it. It's something I'll be listening to for a while down the road. But yeah, at the end of the day, the characters don't stand out super well. They're mostly tropey, and there's not too much depth to them. And I wasn't invested in the main couple very much at all. So yeah, I don't know. It's like a so-so anime with some spectacular parts, basically, in the end. And so yeah.
Pretty much.
Okay, so we can move on to Cells at Work. And actually, looking at my final score, I think I should bring it down either half a point or a point. But I'm not going to move it for right now. Like I said, with Harakana Receive, this did a great job of teaching you. I saw a little series out there that had like a doctor watching this. Yeah, and he was just like, "Oh yeah, they're nailing this stuff on the head," you know, just really great. So that was nice to know from his perspective that they were really doing that. Man, that really, I think kind of towards the end, Kat says that you know, they were using scenes a little too much. And there was that one part where they tried to kind of make you feel bad for cancer.
Yeah.
And I get kind of where they're coming from, because that was kind of literally how a cancer cell was. It was supposed to be a regular cell, but then not by choice. It ended up being a cancer cell, and it really didn't want to reproduce like it was. And I see that. But like then again, like I said, it's like a redemption for cancer. It's like I can't get behind that. I've heard too many horror stories about cancer. There's just no way I can think it's good. Right. But
I think if you
other than that, the rest of it was great.
I think if you watch any of these episodes by themselves, it's an interesting thing to watch. As a whole, like a plot based anime, it fails. But if you're just interested in like, ooh, now I'm gonna learn about this process in the body in an anime, then it's entertaining. Yeah,
that's true. Like it has its niche. Like it is really good for that niche, and that niche is like medical students and people who think they want to go into medicine someday, or just like want to like learn a little bit more about the way their body works. Like I mentioned earlier, I was listening to the Under the Scope like anime awards this morning, and like one of the things he talked about is how like he just goes around and sometimes he just thinks like, oh, there's cute little platelets floating around my bloodstream, and like it's just like it makes you think about your body in like a more fun way. Like it's just like a weird fun way to visualize yourself that we didn't have before.
I know I said while we were watching it that like I think this could legit be used as material in the classroom to teach people.
Yeah,
and I think it would be awesome, and I think it would actually get people a little more excited for like learning about the human body and stuff like that. So I think that has that going for it.
Yeah, but like overall, it's not going to be like a super memorable show down the road. It'll just be like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like them from that one year. That was kind of fun for its little time. Yeah,
it's never going to be something that people like hold up as some amazing anime. It just has its own little thing. And whenever someone talks about that specific thing, it will be brought up. And that's about it.
Yeah.
Yep.
However, I think the next anime, if it gets what it deserves, could be held up as one of those good examples. Like,
oh my god, yes! Asobi Asobase with the death metal ending.
Oh yeah, what an ending. God, and what The thing about the ending is it works so perfectly in tandem with the opening, which is like the biggest fucking
they're all
troll.
cutesy in the opening. Like,
yeah, it's so fucking misleading.
Like it's great.
It's so good. And God, just like this show pushed the humor so freaking far, but it just had me laughing consistently like the entire time.
Oh,
like,
we
I
laughed
just love this show.
hysterically just trying to review an episode, just remembering. And earlier I actually turned away from the mic because I started giggling because I was looking to see what's ahead, and I got the Asobi Asabase, and I started thinking of Hanako's bee costume, and I had to turn away from the mic because I started going. I was like, I couldn't stop myself. I'm like, it's so fucking ridiculous. And also, not only were like their faces and their reactions like fucking awesome, but I gotta give a huge shout out to Hanako's voice actor Hina Aquino,
incredible.
And Olivia's voice actor Rika Nagaya, who were just fantastic.
They're so good. Yeah,
I will love to see them screeching away in that sound booth.
Oh man,
arms flailing. It had to have been just like one hell of a sight.
I love the blonde character, and I love the whole setup they give her. Where they,
Olivia.
Olivia, where they talk about how like both of her parents are like foreigners, and they like speak English, but she can't speak English, and like how she has this perfect accent. She just acts like a stupid like foreigner who can't understand Japanese because she's tired of explaining. I just love the whole thing.
It's so good. Oh my god! And then Maeda and his stupid butt lasers were a good recurring
the butt
gag.
Lasers. They're so weird, though. It's like what?
It's like, what are they
like,
even going
I
for
was in
here?
the FBI and I have a laser in my ass. Like what?
Was it FBI or was he abducted by aliens and they put a laser?
I think
in
he was
his ass?
abducted by aliens.
Yeah, that's
remember.
right. He was abducted by aliens.
And then that like
It all
old man
blurs
taught him
together.
how to like live with it. It's like,
Oh, God.
who is this butt laser man guru? Like, where did he come from? Oh god.
Oh man, there was Olivia's brother also, which was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, they're all envisioning like Olivia's brother, the sexy foreigner, because like all Japanese people think that male foreigners are like hot as fuck, and they're all like, ooh, he's coming to school today, and then he comes and he's just this fat otaku guy.
Oh god.
Olivia's like, he's still the greatest brother ever.
This show has like some mean-spirited humor, but in like the best way possible. Because like I can get behind all of like the kind of nasty jokes in this show because I know they're coming from a place of just like, we're going over the top here for the sake of comedy, and there's nothing like really like sinister behind anything that we're going to present, and that's because the director is so good, Seiji Kishi. Like he's just one of my favorite directors. I will always watch whatever he's putting out, and like this is just another great example.
Oh, and also they had a supposable transgender in the show, and they actually handled that fine without like insulting transgenders.
While still like making fun of the whole situation.
Yeah.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
It was pretty good, actually. I forgot about that.
This next one. So there's a reference to Darling in the Franxx, and I think Bcom calls it fascist trash.
Well, it's because like Leo and I, okay, so we're talking about Planet With, and I was listening to this today, and like Leo and I were arguing because Leo's like, well, it's just really like a bad retelling of Girl in the Gone, and like, why are they shitting on like Darling in the Franxx if they like this show? And I was like, well, Darling in the Franxx is fascist trash, Leo.
We were still in like deep in the waiting pool of hate on Darling in the Franxx at that point. You remember when the whole anime community was just like, we'll never accept it. We hate it.
Yes.
I was over in the corner going, it's not that bad. And you all look at me with anger.
It's like,
disdain.
Shut up.
Leave, Cat. Leave the room. How dare you say that?
I will say about Planet With, like, this is one of the anime ever since it finished that I still like think about like every now and then, like some of the weirdness of it.
I don't think about it at all.
I'm sure you don't, but like the philosophy that's like presented in it about understanding people, like meeting people through the lens of love rather than like hate.
Like the idea that you can't punish people for what they've done because that doesn't solve anything. I felt like there was a lot of morality and philosophical questioning that happened in this anime, which is bizarre considering the main characters in this anime are a cartoon cat and dog.
Oh, yeah. The whole galactic battle between cartoon cats and cartoon dogs and their differing philosophies.
Yeah, the epic space opera of cartoon cats and cartoon dogs.
And just like weird CGI like fucking monsters that they had to fight. Like, oh god, it's so weird.
Those were some of the best part, the bizarreness of the like monsters and the weird the eyes and the hands.
Yeah.
The awful CGI that they were.
I definitely plan to read more manga by this guy, Mizukami, who wrote this and who had been planning this anime for a long time before it came out. Because, I just think he has an interesting perspective on things. And that's what I really enjoyed about this show in the end, was just, like, the weird commentary, like, social commentary in it that I thought was very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Boo.
All right,
Who's
so
next?
Attack on Titan.
Okay.
This show is a fucking tease. This whole season. They strung
good,
us
though.
along. Ooh, it's okay. It's gonna be 24 episodes. Ooh, and we delayed our whole podcast format that season for this fucking anime. And then they're like, oh, but we're gonna cut the season in half, which basically means we're having another season. I don't know. It pissed me off, but it was
dumb.
A good anime. It was a
great anime.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked this season. Wit Studio just doing it again. Like, the animation was fantastic. Like, between this and After the Rain this year, like, wow. Like, what an incredible job
and
they've
even
done.
did politics that had me excited for how it was going to work. I was like, this is crazy.
Everything with
Nailing it.
Historia's like whole arc of like realizing who she is and then accepting it and like becoming the leader that these people need was just really exciting. That fucking scene with Levi running away from Kenny in like episode 2 was just out of this world animation.
Flying through the rooftops and shit, like they usually do, but like they went the extra mile this time around. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was something.
Good stuff. All right. Anything else? Let's look back at summer. How about that? How to Summon a Demon Lord.
Yeah, I never finished that, and I meant to. I don't know why. I got stuck on like episode 8 or 9.
When all I heard is that the main guy eventually just has to finger the cat girl.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Oh god, he actually fingers her?
Apparently.
Oh my god.
Okay,
Wow,
how about
an anime where a guy actually fingers a girl?
Yeah, well, that's a bonus for you. It's like for me.
So, how about that anime Angels of Death, which we kind of shit on pretty
That was
early
the
on?
most boring thing I've ever watched. I watched 4 episodes of it. It was insanely boring. I don't understand it.
Which one?
God, Angels of Death. That was the one with like
Oh,
the little
the-
blonde,
yeah.
The little
girl,
girl
the
that
psychotic
was, like,
guy.
It was
Super
weird.
game like.
It was
Trapped in the-
bizarre.
It was
It
based
really
on-
was like video game, the anime, because like
Yeah.
you could see the video game scenes in the different scenes of the anime to the point where I was like, can you just give me the game so I can play it?
Yeah.
Like,
There was one weird show called Grand Blue that kept getting recommended to me for the comedy, even though I'd seen the first 2 episodes and was just kind of disgusted with it. So I never watched any more. Did you guys know anything about it?
it
I
just
never
was
watched
like,
more.
Let's Get Drunk, the anime. Like,
Yeah.
it was just a bunch of frat boys. For some reason, they would keep drinking like bottles of clear liquid that were handed to them that were then vodka and be surprised every fucking time. And then they would like light things on fire and be like, ooh, alcohol is flammable. And it was weird. I don't know.
I never
Did any-
continued it because it didn't seem to be my sense of humor. That was basically
Yeah,
it.
I didn't get it at all either.
Oh my
Complete
god.
opposite, complete seriousness. How about Hanabado? Did anybody watch all that?
I did. I finished this
I
after
heard
shit.
it never got any better.
way
like,
after the fact that I finished it. Things between Ayano, like the main yandere girl character, and her crazy mother never really got better. That all of that was still overdramatic and insane all the way up until the end of the show. I
Nice.
still really thought the animation of this was great. Like, I loved the animation of all the badminton scenes. It was really well done. and especially like the OP was one of my favorites of the year. Like a really good vocal performance by Eureka, and just really cool animation cuts in there, really well synchronized to the music. But man, yeah, it was just so over dramatic, more so than it ever needed to be.
Oh man, did anybody brave the anime Island?
I watched like the first 4 episodes, and that was all I could take. And I was like, visual novels just need to go away. No more. Stop it with the visual novels.
Okay, so you're okay. One anime that I remembered, not because I watched all of it, but because you remember the Yuragi, like the ghost anime with the tits?
Oh yes,
the tit
I watched
ghost
some of that
anime.
Yeah, that was last season.
Yeah.
So I downloaded the first, I think 2 or 3 episodes, and I took it to the gym one day, and I was like, I'm gonna get this done so I can review. I can do first impressions. I'm gonna do my workout. I'm on the treadmill. Just the whole anime is just pictures of tits bouncing.
Hell yeah.
And like I'm trying to work, I'm like getting more and more flustered and embarrassed, and I'm like, it looks like I'm watching porn right now. It looks like I'm watching porn. The guy next to me looks over, looks at my screen, recoils, looks at me, looks back at my screen. And I'm just like, I'm gonna pretend I don't know that you know. I'm just gonna keep running.
You know, you blew that guy's mind. He's like, what the fuck?
He's like, what is she watching?
It's funny that he looks at the screen and he's like, who the fuck is watching this? And he sees you and he's like, all right, now I'm really confused.
Yeah.
So there was another show that I knew to avoid because I still read the manga. It's Backstreet Girls Goku Dolls.
Oh god.
I didn't hear anything good about it.
I thought it was funny.
It falls into 2 camps. Either you think it's funny or you just hate it. And that's like, I don't know. There's just no in between with that show.
Yeah. There was a show called Island that came out.
We just talked about that.
We just talked about it.
Did I miss it? We'll cut this part out.
No, it's okay. Well, I was going to say, did anybody finish Chio-chan School Road? I never finished it.
I didn't either.
It was right up our alley, but I think we just had too many different shows to cover.
We had too many comedies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Asobi Asabase just like stole the comedy slot, basically.
And I ended up eventually watching High School Girl when it came out on Netflix. It technically aired at this point in Japan. It was a great show. But one thing I wanted to mention is like we didn't mention it for last season. It finished in summer was My Hero Academia season 3, which I did finish. I thought it was actually pretty decent. I don't know. My concerns about that series and the way it treats its female characters are like still well founded, like well into season 3, but like I don't know, it's still good enough for what it is. There's some good fight scenes. Bakugo was kind of a good character throughout it. I don't know.
Oh my god. Okay, so I really enjoyed watching Middle Management, that anime.
Oh yeah, Tonigawa.
Even though it was just kind of weird, like the situations that it covers are things that if you've ever worked in some sort of like corporate environment, you totally know. Like things like not remembering someone's name who like works for you, or like and the way they over dramatize it to the point where it's like life or death, you will die at any second. It's just hilarious.
For sure.
There was also, let's see, Senjushi, which everyone made fun of.
That was a piece of shit.
The whole that was terrible.
There was the Nekopara movie. All right, forget that. But there was also Amiya-chan or Amiya-san Chino Kyono Gohan, or like today's menu for the Amiya family, the little Fate thing that came out, like 13 episodes, like one each month, which was really fun. Like it was such a good, laid back, comfortable like cooking show that got a good chance to like explore like the personalities of the Fate characters outside of them constantly battling each other, because like some of those characters really do have a lot of like fun personality to them, as you could see in something like Carnival Phantasm or in the down moments of like Unlimited Blade Works. And so it was great to see like them just chilling out, making food and just joking around. It was a really fun show.
Yeah.
But I think that's anything else for summer?
Not for me. So
Nope.
we can move on to fall 2018. And who went last? I honestly forgot.
I don't remember going for a while, so I'll go with The Girl in Twilight, Akane Sasu Shoujo. I guess we'll go through fall like a little faster because we just covered it. But
yeah, exactly. Yeah. We'll speed through this part.
Girl in Twilight, that was just like a surprisingly well done show.
Agreed.
All said and done. Like, it just had great voice acting. It had like a weird premise that it followed through on really well. And just like surprise Yuri, that was really fun. And yeah. Yep. Just continues to prove that Tomoyo Kurosawa is like the best voice actress ever, in my opinion.
Everything that Bcom said, I said it already, but I'm still bugged. I don't know what Erotic U's story was about. Why was she acting the way she was acting? It doesn't really make sense, but
yeah,
whatever.
I wasn't too into that show just because I felt like there were too many threads they didn't pick up on at the end, and yeah, but it was okay. I didn't hate it.
I can think of a show we all, at least somebody came around to next, Kat.
Yes, Golden Kamuy, Season 2, Return of the Dicks.
There were far fewer dicks, and I appreciated that. Compared to the end of Season 1, oh my god. But yeah, it's like I said during the review, like it explored the side characters so much better during the end of this season especially. Like, just really fleshed out the cast to a point where it's like, I like everybody here, even if they're like complete assholes like Ogata. Like, I understand you. I understand where you're coming from. And like, yeah, by the end of this series, like, it's just such a great cast with really good main characters, a really strong, wacky, memorable villain in Tsurumi, and just so many different motivations.
He's been nominated as one of the biggest bad guys of the year.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he's one of the best antagonists by easily. Like, he stands out so much.
He's so unique. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Oh, shit. So, the next one is Run with the Wind. Y'all know I hate this show, so whatever.
You guys were so negative on this show. It wasn't even that bad.
There's a lot of people who really like this show. And
I've seen that.
I don't quite understand that, like, yet. Like, I think it's, like, decently well written. Like, there's pretty good characters, but, like, there are some legitimate reasons to be like, this show is kind of dumb also. Like, with all of the stuff we've talked about, with, like, the way they train, their running regimen being absolutely insane, and they would all be injured already.
Yeah, that's true.
But and it's well animated. Like, Production IG is always going to animate sports shows extremely well, especially ones with cute boys.
Actually, you know what it reminded me of? Like the animes where they talk about how in Japan some kids like tie their hair to like their desk lamp to keep themselves awake.
Okay.
What?
Yeah. and like me always being like, surely no one in Japan actually does that, because that would not go well. Like, even if you study all night and do that, then you're not going to do well if you do that all the time. Because
have you heard of a little drug called Adderall?
Well, but if you're that tired that you're falling asleep constantly and then just like relying on hair pulling,
Yeah.
It just seems like that would be counterproductive and cause maybe brain damage and sleep deprivation and not accomplish what you want it to accomplish. It's a similar thing with this in the running. Like, if you actually, practice this much, practice does not make perfect when you over practice. And that applies to anything. So.
Stay tuned. I haven't watched the episodes that have come out in the new year yet. We'll talk about them in our first impressions, but stay tuned to see if we continue with Run with the Wind.
God, I hope not.
I hope so.
We'll see. I think I'm going to be the swing vote there. We'll have to find out how I feel about it.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Bcom's on the Supreme Court now, bitches. Watch out.
The next show that Kat actually hates but says she likes.
Okay, I hate like this. Like,
all right, Bcom.
Rascal does not dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. Yeah, I had fun with this show. I don't know. Like, I understand all the reasons why it's dumb, but I also enjoyed it. Like, I fell in love with Mai. I said it. Like, she's great. I will say that, like, the more I think about the other characters in the show, though, like the other waifus in the little harem, I think they all kind of suck. Like even Rio, like the more I think about Rio, she's just really used as like a narrative tool to like.
Even Futaba sucks.
Yeah, like she just like is used as a tool to spout like bullshit physics explanations and like stand around in the lab where no one else ever goes, and she puts on her little lab coat and her glasses and like
makes
she had
coffee.
And she had her arc about how she had like another her and everything, but like the way that finished up wasn't really that satisfying to me. I don't know. I just never really got like what they were even going for with that arc. It was just like she like felt really weird about the attention that she got from guys, but then also had a part of her that like really liked that attention, and it split her, and it had something to do with liking the other friend, but like it didn't really come together in the end. Like basically the way he solves her problem is like,
did you not pay attention to her quantum physics explanation? It explains the whole thing. What are you talking about?
God damn it. What do you guys think about this show?
I don't know. I felt like I wanted to like it. I knew it was going to be very popular, and it was. I felt like Monogatari is a better version of this.
Yeah, it is.
And honestly, there were parts of it I liked, which is why I ended up giving it a 7. I got really pissed off with how fucking selfish Sakuta was with Mai. And I spent most of the season just being like, Sakuta, go suck a dick! Go suck a dick in hell! Like... And I enjoyed greatly just hating on all of the shitty things he does to his girlfriend in the show.
Maybe in the movie, Sakuta will body swap with Mai, and then he will suck his own dick. It'll be great.
Ooh.
Wow.
Well, at least they didn't do what we thought they were going to do with when they body swap with the little sister.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, part of me kind of wanted that to happen just for the memes, but...
You would, Bcom. You're such a fucking pervert in disguise.
I think
you
he just wanted a
here
really
with all
good
this,
reason
like,
to trash the show.
Oh, I'm offended by lollies, and I don't agree with... I'm a feminist. And then you're like, I really wanted to see the sister and him getting on. Like... You would fucking.
It would have been so hilarious, though. Oh my god.
Oh my god.
I was just so meh.
No discussion of Rascal is complete without. Kimi no se, kimi no se, kimi no se.
Oh no!
Cat, what's that? Cat, what's the next show? What's the next show?
Oh, you fucking asshole. When I'm in the grocery store later tonight and I'm singing Kimi no se, I will blame you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, listeners. I know you forgot already, but
well, I know a drug you can take that will help you forget about this cat.
Oh, is it banana fish?
Yep.
Yeah,
I think everybody pretty much knows how much we fucking hated how this show basically wrapped up and how it treated Ash constantly being raped and then just doing it over and over and over.
Well, like
and
I
just
said,
completely
it's just
shattering our
trope.
mid-season. Yeah, and completely shattering our mid-season any positivity we had. Just right out the window.
It's a yaoi trope. It's a weird porn thing that yaois do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sadly.
It's unfortunate. Yeah, I don't have much more to say about it, honestly. Like,
yeah,
it had some, I don't know, had a pretty decent soundtrack when I look back on it. And
no, it didn't, Bcom. This is the show where they did the terrible English grammar. And we're like, what was it? Don't come near monster or whatever.
Stay away from Dark Nightmare.
Stay away from Dark Nightmare. Like, they couldn't say any English lyric without fucking up the grammar. If you're gonna make a song and have it have English lyrics, at least don't make it sound, I don't know. It was bad.
I hope they make like another anime kind of like this, with like this like intense romance between two guys in the middle of an action show, and just have it like be just better written, like really like better written for modern day. Like I don't know how that's going to get made. It might have to be an original, but I would be interested in watching that show.
They should have updated it along with when they updated the timeline.
Sure.
You mean where they don't kill off the characters?
Yeah, that would be nice too.
Yeah.
Leo, how about that next one?
Yeah, the next one, Zombieland Saga. Yes, it's an idol show with zombies. I fucking loved it. It was hilarious. Almost all the characters got a good arc. We know Yugiri didn't get hers. There's a huge teaser for season 2. So really, really hoping, keeping my fingers crossed. That's my general thoughts.
Yeah.
I liked it. I didn't like that you, Gary, didn't get enough time.
Yeah. Who were you
everything
guys?
else.
I mean, obviously we know Kat's favorite character was Yugiri. I think mine was probably Lily, though I really like Saki a lot too. Who was your favorite character, Leo?
I don't really think I have one. I do like Yugiri a lot just because of like her past profession.
Let's be honest, Leo. You like her because she whips the shit out of people. And in
Yeah,
your deep dark of hearts, you like that.
I just want to be slapped by her.
Uh-huh.
I don't think the show works without Kotaro though. Like Kotaro is so good.
You need him. And Saki, that's the pink hair girl, right?
Oh no,
Sakura.
Saki's the biker blonde.
Oh yeah, she was cool.
Yeah. Does she have some pink in her hair too? I don't know. She might. I forget.
It was yellow with like a orangish red and like a yellow green.
Yeah.
Whatever. I don't know. They're all really likable, I think, for the most part. So
It's a good group.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. The next one. Karakai Circus, a.k.a. Trash Bag.
AKA,
That's the name of it.
we got baited. we got
It's
baited
just
with some
trash.
really good initial episodes.
We weren't the only ones. I've listened to a couple other people talk about it, and everybody says the same thing. Man, I really like how it started. And then just later on, they're like, what the fuck is this show doing?
Yeah.
I'd
It's
love
really
to see the
unfortunate.
view count just sharply drop.
Yeah,
I'd
that would
just
be
watch
interesting to
that.
see. I also like they always do those charts like at the end of a show for like Mal scores over time. I'm very curious to see the shift in the Mal score for this one. I'm sure it's going to be like precipitous drop around like episode 7 or 8ish. Like, yeah, it's real bad.
Well, you can't cram. You didn't even cram that many chapters. You can't skip that many fucking chapters and expect people to still kind of grasp what's going on, who's who, and just not to make a general shit show out of these characters who they would literally introduce just to die a couple minutes later.
Oh, I know. They'd be like,
What?
look at this character. This character has a fiance. He's dead on the floor. Don't you feel terrible? And you're like, no, I don't.
You're like, I didn't have time to remember the dude's name. What the fuck?
It's so ridiculous. All right, one last show. I don't know who went last, but I'll just introduce it. Bloom Into You, or Yagakimi. It was okay.
Slow. I don't know.
Yeah, like I thought. I mean, one thing I'll give it is it did present like a unique relationship that I have not seen in anime before. Like, can't take that away from it. It was very different, but I'm not sure I liked it. I'm not sure I liked Nanami's character. I thought Yu was all right, but also kind of like it took her so long to figure out what she wanted, and I understand that's kind of part of who she is, but I don't know, you're just sitting there watching the show and you're like, girls, just figure this shit out. Especially when they have like the older mentors around who have their shit figured out, at least to a certain point. They were more fun to watch for me. I really want a show about them, but yeah, I don't know. It was just okay. Good cinematography, good flower imagery, and yeah.
Yeah. Good
Yeah, the
flower.
hydrangeas. All right. We can talk about some of the other shows from this season. I talked about Goblin Slayer. I already talked about Slime. Did anybody watch the Sword Art Alicization?
I watched 10 episodes. I got up to the big, huge, rapey part, and I was like,
Wait, there's a big, huge rapey part in Sword Art Online?
Oh, Kat, yes, there is.
Wow.
Oh my god!
It's a tradition.
It's a tradition. Well, that is true, because, like, yeah, the first season with the elf dude, and he's like, I'm a raper.
It's been this really interesting thing, because, like, Reki Kawahara, the author, has come out, like, as this is airing, because he wrote all of the material for Alicization, like, quite a while ago, and he's like apologized, and he's talked about how like he has become more cognizant of like the political correctness of certain aspects of his writing, and he's like really thinking about that, especially with SAO Progressive, which he's still writing right now, which by everything I've heard, I should really be like reading SAO Progressive, because apparently it's very good. I hope they make an anime of it. I'm almost positive they will.
Okay,
but yeah,
I need to know, is this scene, is it also very porny?
Yes, it is extremely so. There's
Okay.
actually 2 versions of it. There's like an uncensored version, which they showed on TV in Japan.
No.
Okay, I am convinced someone is going to hack into the writer's porn history, and it's just going to be all rape porn.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This is coming from somewhere. No one writes this many weirdly porny rape scenes into their otherwise good shows without having some weird hang up on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you go.
You
Moving
should
on.
and now we will move on from that.
I love how we just like move on from Cat's points. It's because I'm
Bcom,
looking at the next thing,
yes.
though.
Yeah, I think Bcom, you watched. You already talked about World in Colors, didn't you? Right?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that, like, when I look back on this year for PA works, I feel a little bit disappointed because they worked on
they
like
let you down.
Sirius, Irazuku, and Horse Girls Pretty Derby, and like none of them are among their best shows, I would say. So I'm just hoping for a better year from PA works
Yeah,
going
they just
forward.
had a bad year.
They made
I
a
already
movie
talked
too, Makuya, but I haven't seen it yet. So
Okay, I already talked about JoJo. We talked about Gridman. Did anybody watch Boarding School Juliet or hear anything about that?
I really kind of enjoyed the first 2 episodes of this. I never finished watching it. I think I will, because it's just like a dumb rom-com with some cute girls in it, and just it's dumb. Like, and I kind of enjoy that sometimes when I have nothing else to watch.
Okay, what about My Sister, My Writer?
Oh, God.
Boy.
Please don't. Let's not even give that the time. You know what? What really disgusted me this year with anime is there were a lot of anime, like this season and last season, like the Uchi no Maid, whatever. With the
Yeah.
why are there so many anime with older women creepily sexualizing very young girls? What the fuck is this? What's happening? I
It's
don't
a
remember
weird
this
trend.
being a thing.
It is definitely
Before.
a trend now, and it's continuing into the current season, and it's really weird.
It is. Is it?
Wow.
Is it that like they know Japan knows that they can't get away with sexualizing little kids like they used to, but they think if there's a woman
Yes.
in it, that's the one. Then it's not threatening. Is that what's happening?
I think that's what's happening, because if it was a man, everybody would hate it and think it's weird and creepy, but since it's a woman, it's funny, right? It's just hilarious, but it's not.
It's fucked up. Japan,
I keep
you fucked
hearing-
up.
I keep hearing little bits about Radiant. You guys know anything about that one?
I still only watched the first like 3 episodes of that, and I thought it was pretty solid. And I think like the director is really good, but I don't know. Like I don't know if I'm ever gonna have the time to finish
I've
it.
heard nothing but shit about Conception, though.
Oh, Perception was
Of course,
terrible.
it's just the shittiest of shit. That's
One show I still haven't gotten back to watching is Sarune, the KyoAni show.
it's good.
What
Oh,
about
really?
Double Decker?
Did
Watch that.
Did you watch more of it, Kat?
I did. I've been enjoying it.
I've heard it's actually really good. It just had such a slow, free-like start to me that I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, I don't know.
You should keep with it. It gets better.
I will. I always eventually finish Kyoto animation shows, so I'll watch.
Yeah.
Release the Spice. One thing I will say, had a bumpin' ass soundtrack. Like it had some really good stuff in there. And they finally just released the soundtrack. I'm sure you can find it on YouTube, if not like buy it from CD Japan or something. But yeah, like good, just like good stuff, like drum and bass and like some dubstep in there. Like it's pretty funny. The show
do you-
itself, not so good. But
Do
yeah.
you remember the weird fish show that we all wanted to be good?
So space fishing is how I know it. What is it actually called? I think I told Leo I group watched Soro to Umi no Ida with some people.
Oh, did you? Was
I
it
don't
as
have it-
bad throughout it?
So I definitely did not watch every episode. I still have this marked as having watched only one episode because I just dropped into these group watches like every few episodes just to see what the fuck was happening. And it is the dumbest shit. It is just so dumb. They like never even go space fishing. Like maybe like twice in the entire show.
Did you ever think that you would be on a podcast just frustratingly saying, and they never even go space fishing? I'm so disappointed.
That is pretty
No,
insane.
I did not think about that.
Oh my god.
It's so ridiculously stupid. Himote House was a short comedy that had an episode where the girls are all in an onsen and they're all naked and they're all just talking about cryptocurrency and how they want to invest in it.
What?
It was the weirdest, most surreal
Wow.
thing
That
I've ever
seems like
seen.
it was built for Mitsuki. Like that,
Oh, yeah.
everyone should just force him to watch it.
Yeah, from AA Podcast. He should definitely watch that. I think somebody told him about it. I don't know if he's watched it yet, though. That'd be hilarious. Anything else on here? Did you ever watch Gurzeni Season 2 yet, Kat?
I have watched a couple episodes of it, but I haven't gotten all the way through it because I've been trying to backwatch so many other things.
Yeah.
But it's still good from what I've watched of it so far. I've been enjoying it.
All right. Well, I think that's basically everything.
Holy shit, it is.
That was the whole year. But that was just how we felt, right? We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back with, like, the mathematical breakdown.
Oh,
I just did a simple, let me tell the listeners here. I just did a little simple spreadsheet, so we could find out what we each ranked it. And then I just took the sum of each and, and did a top 10, the bottom 10. And then I went to work and I came back home and Bcom turned it into this monster of a breakdown of just everything about this podcast. It's insane.
It's so good.
So it is pretty good. There's a lot of interesting like things you're picking up on when we're looking at it. Just locks and who's successful and who's not. And oh boy, just be ready for this after the break.
We'll be back.
Right.
We'll be back with the stats in just a minute.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm JD, your host of the Red Leaf Retrocast, your best location to learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. Our podcast has 4 shows for you to listen to between retro gaming, modern gaming, anime, and even wrestling. The Retro Gaming Cast covers discussion topics, and each episode we discuss retro games picked based on a decided theme for that episode, ranging from space all the way to console specials like the old handheld Game Boy. Our Modern Gaming Cast is monthly and covers video game titles that were released in that previous month. Each anime cast, we focus to review a retro anime each and every episode, like the original Mobile Suit Gundam to the racing hit Initial D. But that's not all. We also keep up with the seasonal shows, by occasionally doing impressions and reviews as well. Finally, our last show is about wrestling, where we keep the rising indie scene up to date, while also covering shows from the bigger promotions like Ring of Honor, New Japan, and WWE, so we cover it all. We also cover a retired wrestler every episode in what we call the Wrestler Spotlight, and are currently on a quest covering old WCW Thunder episodes from the late 90s, every cast. So if any one of those casts sound like something you'd like to check out, that's the Red Leaf Retrocast, Gaming, Anime, and Wrestling, found at iTunes, Stitcher Radio, Spotify, and all your favorite podcasting sites. Also, you can learn, remember, and relive the past to the present. We can't wait to see you soon.
All right, and we're back. Now what you've all been fucking waiting for, the cold, hard stats of 2018.
So
Best
cold.
and worst, favorites of each host, all the above.
Every possible statistical breakdown ever.
In cold, hard numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The agreements, the fights, we have it all.
We'll definitely get to like our top anime of the year statistically, but I wanted to start off with like what was like the best anime season of 2018. And there's a little caveat with this because I was a joker and we kind of covered Citrus in winter.
Yeah, and you definitely just did that to trash watch it, so I'm fine with taking that out of the equation.
Yeah, but I have like the rankings for like winter with Citrus and winter without Citrus, and so yeah.
And it still beat out a bunch of some of the other seasons.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. I don't know, like, and it's so weird to me, like, compared to this winter season, like, because this winter season is not as like abundant with good anime as last year's was.
Right. Yeah. I guess let's just go in like it doesn't matter if we go in reverse order on this one. We'll go in normal order. So winter was our best season, especially when you discount Citrus. It had like Sora Yori, Violet Evergarden, and Eurocamp leading the way, all with average scores over 8 from 3 hosts. which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
It had an average score of 6.65 overall, which is honestly pretty good because, like, at least some of us are pretty harsh graders a lot of the time. So a 6.65 is actually pretty high.
Yeah, it is pretty good.
Closely followed by Summer in second place, which had Attack on Titan at an 8.5 average and Asobi Asobase at an 8.17 average.
Ooh, nice.
But overall, average score of 6.4, so lower. Then there's Winter with Citrus, which is a 6.33 because Citrus was at a 3, basically 3.17.
And that still came in third. What does that tell you about that winter season, dude?
It was packed, is what it tells you.
Yeah.
Top heavy.
Yeah.
Then we got Spring, where no show averaged above an 8.
Oh, shit.
Hinamatsuri had a 7.83. That was our top of the season. And so the average score for Spring was just 6.02, which is not very good.
Oh, I see why we fucking hated fall.
Yeah, Fall was a weird one. I was like, why is Fall last?
That
And then I was like,
circus show. That terrible
Banana Fish.
circus show.
Yeah, and Banana Fish. Yeah, they both finished with very low grades. So, yeah, Winter, as I kind of expected, was our favorite season of last year. It was really good. And then while I was at it, I was like, what was our like total average score for all of the shows we watched in 2018? And so if you include Citrus, it's 6.124. If you lose Citrus, it's 6.202. So our average score of everything we watched this year was a 6.2.
Okay, well, at least it's on the positive side.
Yeah, I mean, it's like above average, I guess. Like, you know, it's not bad.
That makes sense to me because that is kind of like what I consider an average anime would be a 6. I know it's like supposed to be the middle of the road or a 5, but I don't know. I guess, you know what? The American grading system makes you kind of inflate scores, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so that makes sense.
Thinking that like anything below a 6 is like a failure in the American grading system, yeah. But,
yeah.
So Kat, I put together this chart. I don't know if you want to read it from 10 to 1. This is this is what we called the podcast top 11 biggest mistakes of 2018.
or best trash watches if you want to be positive about it.
Yes.
Some of these weren't trash though. I mean, I don't know, but whatever. Like a lot of them were.
Yeah, so that's, you know, the Nerdom and Other Nonsense top 11 biggest mistake animes of 2018. Tied for 10th place, we have Bloom Into You and Darling in the Franxx, which both had a total score of 16 and an average score of 5.3, which is crazy for Darling in the Franxx. So I think I gave it like a 7. So you guys just hated on it like hardcore. You guys just wanted to be part of the crowd, just like with Black Clover, when everyone wanted to hate on it and they wanted to jump on the bandwagon.
Black Clover had a terrible start.
I'm annoyed that Darling in the Franxx is tied with Bloom Into You. Bloom Into You deserves very slightly better.
Well, that's just your mech fandom talking. But anyway, number 9 is Wotakoi, which deserves to be higher on this. I don't know. I got pissed off.
Well, this is the one we all agreed it was a 5. It's just
yeah.
Well, you know me. I just get pissed off when shows just like they tease you, and then they're like, "Oh, and now I'm gonna leave," and you didn't even get to come, and you're just like, "Ah!" Well, because you know there's no ending. And then number 8 is Anglemois with a 14.5 total and an average score of 4.83. Wait, are we missing 7? What the fuck?
No, 6 is a tie between 2.
Oh, okay. I was
So
like,
it's
why
6
is
and
there no
7?
7?
Yeah.
That's strange. You got Hisone to Masatan and Skilled Teaser. Okay, Skilled Teaser is the worst show. Come on. Come on now.
It's definitely worse than Hisone, I would say. Well, I don't know, actually. It's hard to say.
I enjoyed Hisone better.
Egregious.
I enjoyed Hisone much more, I would say.
And at least
I think I
plot.
did too. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
So,
this next show I am furious about should be so much lower.
Dereku.
Number 5.
11.
This is, dude, when I was doing these stats and I saw it was number 5, I was like, yes, it wasn't our worst fucking show.
Yeah.
Despite my best efforts.
Yeah, and it wasn't like I gave it in a crazy high score that offset it. It was just
you gave it a 6.
6.
Yeah. And then after that is number 4 with Karakuri Circus. It's really hard to say that. With a total score of 10.5 and an average score of 3.5. Yeah, this one was a trick. This one was, I don't know.
This deserves that place.
It actually surprises me that number 3 is Banana Fish, because I would think Karakuri Circus, in my opinion, is worse than Banana Fish.
It probably is, yeah.
I don't agree with that.
Probably. I mean, it's not over yet. I mean, yeah. I think if we had to watch all of Karakuri Circus, which maybe we will, but we probably won't.
I will rebel if you try to make me watch any more of that damn circus show.
One easy trick to get Kat to leave the podcast.
I'll be like out front with my striking poster, like, will not watch no more.
Poor working conditions.
Oh my god.
2 has a little asterisk because it technically wasn't scored by Leo at the time.
Yeah, but we decided that I would just do the average score of your guys' so that would line up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Citrus.
Yes.
Yeah, and then of course number 1, Happy Sugar Life, which we all knew was trash when we picked it.
A score of 8. That is so bad.
Its total score was not even like what it could have been with 1 score.
2.67 average score.
Yeah,
ouch.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
That's
okay.
Really bad.
So those were our biggest mistakes of the shows we actually watched. Those are not the worst anime of the year by any means, because we dropped or did not watch a lot of those. But
yeah, that's true.
The ones we finished and scored, those are the worst of the worst. But since we talked about that, I want to talk now about the biggest disagreements we had. And so I calculated this. This is where Leo was so confused with the document because there's so many numbers.
You
flying
had
around.
shit everywhere, and we'll start at the bottom.
Well, I mean, I'm looking at this, and I'm an accountant, and I'm like, what the fuck is this Bcom?
Yeah,
what did you even
bad.
do?
I actually made that comment during break when you were away that Kat's the accountant, and I don't know if she could make sense of it. But I will say about this, I know we're starting at the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
I have at least a hand in the top 3. I'm
so do I, but yeah.
Well, Leo, let's just be. You like to fight. You like to make a disagreement. Whatever someone thinks, you want to take the opposite.
Yeah.
That's
sometimes.
Nature.
Yeah.
So we start at the bottom. So basically, I use the Excel or Google Sheets formulas for variance and standard deviation, which basically give the same type of result.
Which are words that just confuse me.
It just basically gives you an idea of how far apart we were on scores. So the ones we disagreed the most on. So 5th place was actually a tie between 3 shows. There was Darling in the Franxx Core 2 that I had at a 4, Leo had it a 5, and Kat had it a 7. So not actually that much variance, but definitely disagreements, a 3-point swing between lowest and highest. Same with Run with the Wind Core 1 though, because Leo was at a 4 and Kat was at a 7.
Well, yeah.
Oh, kind of, yeah, some role reversals there.
Yeah, I was at a 6, and then Golden Kamuy Season 1, I was the low one on that, and Leo at a 5.
I'm always the 7.
Yeah.
I'm
You
the
are
practical one. I'm the one who's like, guys, stop being babies. Stop.
Pretty much.
Yeah,
We're
you
all,
had 7
arguing.
to roll those.
I know.
And Leo had a Golden Kamuy Season 1 at an 8. So yeah, those were decently wide disparities. But then we get into the top 4 where they just get increasingly bigger. So Ito Junji Collection,
Ooh,
big variance.
Ito Junji, my baby. Oh, I love this show.
So both Leo and I actually had this at a 3 and Kat at a 6. But yeah,
I'll
that
admit
was big enough.
It's not the greatest, right? That's why I gave it a 6. But I personally love this show.
I could not be entertained by that show. It was a pain watching every single episode. Just dragging my way through, especially when I had to review it. Oh god, it was so god awful.
Surprisingly, because of Leo, in 3rd place we have Karakuri Circus, which Leo was very generous and gave us a 5.5.
It goes off the rails. It's cramming too much in there, but you know what? I'm still enjoying it.
Mm-hmm.
So
are you enjoying
I gotta keep it. I don't know. I just like the weird action. even if they introduce somebody and I have a problem with them dying 2 minutes later, I'm still interested in like what's happening next. And I think I just got so early on wrapped up into the motives of that circus that I wanted to know what's going on. So like that's what's driving me at this point. It had to at least be a 5, but I ended up giving it a 5.5.
I think that this had the lowest score that I've given anything all year. Karakuri Circus.
2?
I'm pretty sure.
Probably. Yeah.
I think that's your lowest.
I was so angry. By the end of episode, 12, I was just like, no more. I will not watch another episode of this goddamn show.
Yeah, and I had it at a 3, so definitely big difference.
I'm still planning on watching it outside the podcast. So we'll see how long I can hang on.
Sadly, at number 2, with a big variance of 6.08, 2.47 standard deviations, Planet With.
I hated this show.
8, Cat at an 8.5, Leo at a 4.
Oh, I know. You were such a pooper with this anime. You were just
I hated the show. I hated it.
No, you were like a 4-year-old trying to give them peas. You're like, eat your peas, and they're like, no.
Oh, yeah, and then what killed me next season, we go into SS Gridman, and you're faulting it for, amnesia and aliens and young protagonists, and I'm like, that's everything that was in Planet With! What the fuck are you talking about?
Oh, man. I think number 1 will not come as a surprise to many. I had it at a 1. Leo had it at a 6. It's Dereku. 2.5 standard deviations apart on this one.
The show that almost broke up a podcast.
God damn. Oh man, those were fun times. Of course that was our biggest disagreement.
We talked about Bcom going and keeping his comments in a separate document so I couldn't see it. I was going into I was putting more effort into defending that show than I think I would have in the first place because I knew he was doing this and I knew I had to if I stood a chance. So that you doing what you did Bcom did not help the situation at all.
Nope, not at all. I've learned my lesson, definitely. But it was fun to have those arguments. Honestly,
yeah,
I look back on that time fondly.
Yeah, I think that was one of our best debates ever.
Yeah. So now it comes to a personal host review.
Ooh.
Because on this podcast, we lock shows. And it's time to see who was really the most successful.
Okay, Bcom, you can just sit here and be lorded over all of us and be superior, but I don't give a fuck.
The thing is, Leo usually lords it over us with the locks. He was on fire in summer, and he was he was riding on his high horse.
Yeah. I at the end of this, I have my defense, and I will wait until we get to the end. But go ahead.
All right. So I broke this down several ways. So the first way I broke it down was the highest average score of locked shows by host, including soft locks, back when we had soft locks. Now we basically have what we used to call hard locks only. Soft locks were shows that we would lock, but then everybody would review them still, because other people would still be watching them and reviewing them. And
right.
It was fine. Hard locks, the review or the locker is the only one who reviewed them. So highest average score, number 3, Leo at a 5.47.
Oh, poor Leo.
You guys just hated my shows.
Number 2, Kat with 5.58. Very good job, Kat. Very good job. Number 1, this guy named Bcom, 5.8. Oh, wow. So good.
I will say these are still pretty darn close for the most part.
Sorry, 5.81. I should give myself that extra 100th of a point. It really matters a
boy.
lot.
Someone needs to knock Bcom off his ego post before he dies of a swollen head.
Well, damn it, I'm holding off to your next one.
Yeah, so because I was am I really getting ahead of myself here? Am I really this great? And so I was let's break this out a little further. What if we just go by the hard locks? For each season of this year, what about the locks that really the hosts were this is my hard lock. I'm going to
hard
review
lock
this.
only, no soft locks in there. Yeah.
So number 3, Leo, 5.13. Kat at number 2 with a 5.38. Oh, that Bcom guy, 5.67. Wow, good job, Bcom. You're so good. So, Leo, what was your defense at this point?
So, I'm calling out Brains from the Trash Pandas Watch anime because he said, I always pick the safe picks. And at the time, I was blown. He blew me away. I'm like, you are insane if you think that. And I have the number right here to show you. I do not always pick the safe picks. What were the shows that I picked that really crashed again, Bcom?
Banana Fish,
And
Doreku, Darling in the Franxx, Core 2 to some extent. Yeah.
My defense on those was I was definitely going for discussion. I really did not see a problem with Doreku, so I'm like, all right, we can debate this. Good debate. Darling in the Franxx, that was more of this is a big show. Everybody's still talking about it. I want to keep talking about it. Let's do it. I don't remember much that season. And honestly, Banana Fish, I got blindsided by Banana Fish. I did not expect that one to go as bad as it did.
Well, I think
Leo's right. We're not always going for like the best show with our lock. We're going for interesting shows.
I'm just saying, Brains, I have a number to prove that you were wrong about that statement. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I think Leo has a tendency to want to keep shows that we discussed in the previous season going. I think that's kind of your desire in a lot of
in the recent season for sure.
Yeah,
if we've been discussing it pretty thoroughly, even if it's a discussion that we all dislike, even then I'm like, this is still good, but I'm going to look at the other shows and be like, is there anything better this season we could be doing? If it's kind of a general not really, then I'm sticking with that same show we've already been doing.
So then, though, I went a little extra crazy, and I was like, what if these results are being skewed by the people who locked those shows? So I was like, what is actually the highest average score for locks by the other two hosts who did not lock the show?
And it basically was the same. Like, all of these...
No, the cat's always in the middle, but it changed.
It changes some things.
The order didn't change. So,
so for that first one, it didn't change. The one that includes soft locks, like Leo's at a 5.04, Cat's at a 5.25, I'm at a 5.70. And then if you just consider hard locks, it gets very interesting because me and Cat think that Leo's hard locks were like a 4.56.
Oh yeah, that's true. Like the numbers change a bit, but the
funniest part though, Cat, this is the funniest part because then I was like, oh, what did the person who locked their shows rate their own shows on average? And while we thought Leo's locks were a 4.56, Leo thought his own locks were a 6.33. That was the best. That was my favorite thing I found.
So Leo is the most biased host, basically.
And I also hated my own locks the most. I rated my locks as a 6.
No, I'm not. No, Bcom's the most biased. I like my locks the most. Bcom hates his locks most. He's basically saying you and me, Cat, like his locks better than he likes his own.
Well, Bcom is a self-hater at heart, so that makes sense.
Yeah, that's true. My 6 is pretty close to what you guys thought of my locks, which was like a 5.7. But yeah, you guys both like your locks quite a bit more than the other two hosts like your locks, especially Leo, though. But yeah, that's kind of funny. I just like finding that.
Yeah. But you know what I learned from this is I am like the solid foundation of this podcast rating system. Which is kind of terrifying if you think about it.
Oh, man. All in all, I think we did okay with our locks, given what they are.
Yeah, I mean, considering we're picking from the bottom of the pile at that point for our locks, for the most part. Yeah.
Okay, so we can move on to our personal top 10s of 2018 now. And these include anime that we did not watch on the podcast. We will have a podcast top 10 coming right after. But
what you've been waiting for, which is, of course, we saved to the end so you'd stay the whole time.
Hell yeah, we're smart. So my top 10 in reverse order. And I will say that numbers 4 through 10 have done a lot of shifting in the past month or so as I've been thinking about this, but it is what it is. Number 10, I've got Megalobox. Number 9, High Score Girl. Number 8, Asobi Asobase. Number 7, Attack on Titan Season 3. Number 6, Planet With. Number 5, Eurocamp. Number 4, Devilman Crybaby, which we did not watch on the podcast.
Right.
Number 3, Violet Evergarden. Number 2, A Place Further Than the Universe. And number 1, another show we did not watch on the podcast, unfortunately. March Comes In Like a Lion season 2.
Yeah, that's really good. All right.
Yeah, it's so good.
I don't know. That makes sense to me. You guys just really fucking like A Place Further Than the Universe. I don't know.
Hell yeah, we do.
Yeah, we really do.
Mine were number 10, Zombieland Saga. Number 9,
Nope. Wait, that wasn't your number 10?
Well, but I put them in like just.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I put them in based on. I didn't. Yeah, it's fine.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, they're gonna be the same, but they're gonna be different, maybe orders for some of them.
All right, I'll switch it around later just so I remember.
Wait, so you said number 10 was Zombieland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you threw me off because I'm like looking at one thing and you said another, and I'm like, huh?
Yeah, so I was just anyway. I'll say it again so that it's not confusing.
You just threw
Number
me
10, Zombieland Saga. Number 9, Eurocamp. Number 8, After the Rain. Number 7, Yotsurio Biori. Number 6, Planet With. Number 5, Violet Evergarden. Number 4, Hakata Tonkatsu Ramens. I did really like that show.
Yeah, that surprised me. I didn't remember you liking it that much.
I just
as much as
fondly.
like to be your top 4. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
number
impressive.
3, Attack on Titan season 3. Number 2, Devilman Crybaby, and then number 1, I also had March Comes In Like a Lion season 2 as my number 1. Like it's one of my
Yeah.
favorite shows of all time.
Hell of a show.
Never watched it. Don't care to watch it.
Such a good
you
show.
would think that, Leo.
Yep, I would.
You would really like the 3 sisters in that show, Leo. Like, they
You
are
kinda would.
so up your alley. Like, you would
Yeah.
love them. But yeah.
Okay, my top 10. At number 10, Devilman Crybaby. Number 9, Megalobox. Number 8, Zombieland Saga. Number 7, A Sports Show, Harakana Receive. Number 6, Attack on Titan Season 3. Now my top 5. Gon Kamui. Number 4 is Hinamatsuri. Number 3 is A Place Further Than the Universe. I just really struggle with this top 3, guys.
Yeah.
Really, I had to break it down to enjoyment out of these 3 shows. So my number 2 is Asobi Asobase, obviously for the laughs. And my number 1 is Eurocamp because it is the comfiest thing in the world. And any stress in your life will be gone within 1 episode of this show.
It's true.
So
It works every time. 10 out of 10 doctors recommend your camp.
It is pretty good.
If it's not the dialogue, if it's not them camping, it's like Bcom said earlier, it's the shots of just like the beautiful scenery that just makes you go exhale, just makes you go.
See, for me, Yotsurio Biori and Eurocamp were very similar in a lot of ways. Like they both were just like calming shows. You would watch them and be happy.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, it's both of those are kind of really. There's not really any tension. There's not any dilemma or problem they're really solving for the most part. Yotsurio Biori does a little bit, but Eurocamp does none of that at all.
All right, we've come to it then.
Oh
we
boy,
have
drum
our
roll.
So we have our top 10, but kind of actually 11 best anime of 2018 according to our podcast ratings over the course of this year. Because there was a tie for 10th place. There was also a tie for 8th and 4th and 2nd place.
Yeah,
Lots of ties.
That's really interesting because that 2nd place and the 4th place, those are really high scores.
Yeah. Who wants to go first?
Let Kat go.
Okay. So 10 is a tie between Golden Kamui season 2 and Yotsurio Biori. I don't know. Rokohodo, I think is how you say the name of the place. Each had 2 7s and 1 8. Yotsurio Biori deserves to be higher on this fucking list.
I'm just glad it made the list because, like, it is kind of like I think almost nobody watched this show.
Yeah,
and it deserves to be more watched than it was. It was really solid.
It made our top 11. I mean, definitely watch it. What was the total score, Kat?
22 in total, and then the average score of 7.33.
Nice.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You go,
Leo,
Bcom.
you go next.
Okay, I'll go. So we have an 8A and an 8B. And we went. So 8B is Megalobox. just because it had a more intense low score of a 6.5 because of Cat.
because it ended badly. You can't tease me up here and then be like, and now it's terrible.
So its total score is 22.5, which is just a 0.5 higher than number 9 and 10 slot at average score of 7.50.
Yeah. And 8A, which is also tied, was Zombieland Saga. And the reason I just put it above at like 8A is just like the scores were just like more tightly grouped than for Megalobox. We gave it like an 8, a 7.5, and a 7. So we were all like really confident in that score. Whereas Megalobox, obviously Cat was lower than everybody. So
yeah, makes sense.
Same average score, 7.5. Total score, 22.5. Yeah. Cat, what's 7?
Ooh, 7. After the Rain with a total score of 23 and an average score of 7.67. So that makes sense to me. We all kind of agreed it was a good show.
Yeah, I'm glad to see that one in here. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at number 6, we have Hina Matsuri with another 0.5 increase at 23.5 for a total score and a 7.83 for the average score.
Good show.
It is.
Fourth place, we just have a straight tie, and each of these shows got the exactly same scores from all 3 hosts. Like each one was rated, I think, an 8, a 9, and a 7.5 by the exact same people. So these were Asobi Asobase and Eurocamp. So they both totaled out at 24.5 with an average score of 8.17. Both very good shows. Kat, you're next.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So 2B was Attack on Titan Season 3. We had the total score at 25.5 and the average score at 8.5. So I guess that kind of surprises me that it isn't a little higher, but it deserves to be in our
really
top
solid.
3. Yeah.
I mean, top 3 is high. Like, it is really, really good.
Honestly,
I did not expect it to be that good.
I mean, I guess because we didn't cover My Hero Academia. I think our thing will be different than a lot of other podcasts because we didn't cover My Hero Academia.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So at 2A, we have Violet Evergarden. And that got the higher score because Kat gave it a 9.5, which was a higher top score. With a total score of the same thing, 25.5 and 850 average.
So, what was the best anime of 2018?
I totally disagree with this. You guys,
according to Nerdom and other nonsense.
You guys skewed this. I don't agree with this at all.
Yeah, of course we skewed it. Sure, whatever.
A little anime that took place in Antarctica called A Place Further Than the Universe. Total score of 26, just beating out Violet Evergarden and Attack on Titan by a half point.
You guys are such moe sluts. I can't believe you gave it such a high score.
Don't lump me in with Bcom here. That's not cool.
Average score of 8.67.
Didn't you both give it like a 10 or some bullshit?
We gave it 9s.
Yeah, we both gave it 9s, and you gave it an 8, you little hater.
Well, it's not, it's not that great, but that's okay. It's good.
It's pretty great. It's very
I liked
good.
Eurocamp better than this.
I mean, I liked Three Gatsu no Lion better than this. That's
I
about it.
also liked Three Gatsu no Lion better than this.
I ranked Eurocamp as my number 1. What are you talking about?
Yeah, Leah loves Eurocamp too.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that is it. Man, it was actually a pretty damn good year for anime. Looking back on it, there was a lot of variety. There's like a ton of great comedy. Maybe not so much good romance.
I think maybe winter spoiled us a little bit.
Winter definitely spoiled the shit out of us.
Yeah.
And honestly, looking forward to spring of 2019. I think we're going to get spoiled to high heaven by that season.
By the rest of the year?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That's the season to remember. But
I'm still making my way through with what's coming up. And then it's not looking good. I don't even know how I'm going to rank my top 10 for our podcast.
Me either,
It's looking bad.
You'll have to come see next week to find out what Leo decides to do.
For sure. So, is there anything else you guys would like to add before we close this out?
No, just if you made it this far, thank you for listening. We appreciate each and every one of you.
As always. Yes. Remember to follow, and subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on new podcasts or videos. You can also find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher, and follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates. As well, with that, we'll see you guys next time with our first impressions of the winter 2019 season.
Yes, bye.
Peace.